Yo, 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 what is going on, everybody? How are we doing today? I hope everyone is doing great today. Hope everyone is absolutely killing the game on Monday, March 3rd, 2025. Gotta say the date and time so that way you guys know I'm not no robot. This ain't no pre-recorded stream. This is live. This is me, baby. You're getting the real me. I'm sorry. I don't know where that all came from, but I hope you guys are all having a good day. Genuinely appreciate you guys all showing up for stream. I think we're gonna have a little bit of a fun one today. I came up with this honestly on the fly. I said, what am I gonna do for stream today? And I was kind of still hype from the last Kagurabachi chapter, which, by the way, I just have to say, if you are not familiar and you're just tuning in for the stream and you don't already, please, please, please consider checking out the second channel. I do cover series like Kagurabachi, Dan to Dan, Sakamoto Days, Hunter x Hunter, Chainsaw Man, everything, you know, that is relevant in today's age of manga. So please don't be scared. Go check out the second channel if you have not already. But either way, we are going to be doing Chihiro versus all of the villains in Shibuya Incident. So of course, I did add the finger bearer here because let's be completely honest, if Chihiro's not even able to make it past the finger bearer, then I do not believe Chihiro is going to be able to even survive in the Shibuya Incident, right? Like, let's make that very much apparent. But as for starters, we're going to go over Chihiro just a little bit just to get an idea of where he kind of sits in relative power scaling to like someone like Yuji or Megami or someone in the Jujutsu Kaisen verse, and then we will just take it from there. Let me see what some of you guys are saying. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. Chihiro can't survive anything as he can't harm curses. He has no cursed energy, no RCT. So I definitely will say that we're going to completely just null and void any of those arguments from the beginning, and that's a great way to start. We are going to give Chihiro the whatever amount of curse energy he needs to not only interact with all of the curses, but also be able to see them, be affected by domains, all of that good stuff. Also, not for nothing, like I feel like most, I'm pretty sure it was described that most humans have an average amount of cursed energy. It's just it might not be enough to see curses. What's up, Loud? Said it cutting through the disaster curses. We can hope so. Chihiro's clocking in at faster than lightning in the first arc alone. That's faster than any JJK character he's blitzing. 2 words, Kuro Shred. While doing my JJK is about alchemy theory, I originally went from Yuji combining Gojo's desire for friendship and connection, Albedo with Sukuna's self-confidence and destruction of everything, and Negrito with Megami being sunk from a path of evil. My mirror, how Jesus calmed the storm. Damn, you're getting all philosophical with it, Jacob. I love it. What up, Skull? Figured there would be some verse equalization that permits sorceress energy to interact with curse energy. Otherwise, what's the point of asking the question? We got it, Yang. My boy. What a prodigy. Thank you. And a story Chihiro solos. We got a lot of Kagurabachi love in the chat, which we're not mad about seeing. We're not mad about seeing it. Tell me on Kagurabachi, should I read it? Yes, 110%. I would fully, wholeheartedly, please guarantee you will enjoy the series that is Kagurabachi. It's genuinely such a fun series. I was a little doubtful in the very beginning, I will say. So if you see anyone, you know, be talking about, oh, blah, 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 no operator didn't like Kagurabachi from the very beginning. Well, that's true. I didn't, but once I got through to the Rakuzachi arc, I was fully locked in. So there's 70 chapters right now of Kagurabachi. I highly recommend you just hop in. So I'm just making a post on Twitter. I went cold social media for a while, and now I'm feeling like social media is the move again. We'll see. What do you guys think? honestly, quite personally, I'm so done using Twitter, but it's such a terrible platform. It barely loads half the time for me anymore, and that's not even like that's just I hate having it not load for me. Damn it, you know what I mean? But I don't know if that's just me. We'll give it another minute or so before we get started with the Chihiro summary on what he's capable of, and then we will get into if he's able to survive the Shibuya incident. I'll see you later, operator. Don't want to get spoiled. Hey, appreciate that, Kakashi Lover. Thank you for dropping by. Happy to have you here for the little bit of time you were. Hope you have a great rest of your day, morning, afternoon, or night. What up, Raheem? Definitely loses to Mahito. Yeah, the soul is going to be an interesting discussion. Isn't spirit energy technically soul energy? Spirit and soul are sometimes the same. We'll get into it. We'll discuss it. Here's what happens. Real debate starts at Dagon. Anything above Dagon, he's either dying horribly or dying with broken dignity. Well, as you can see, we have it split a couple of different ways, right? As you can see, we have it framed here. We have low diff W, mid diff W, high diff W, high diff L, mid diff L, and then low diff L. And then we can place all these characters on the tier list from there, just to give you an idea of where Chihiro would go into a battle here. What up, Lightskin? Do you think Chihiro and Hirohiko will actually be friends in the future? Yo, the rivalry between these two characters is so great. I genuinely did really appreciate the last chapter. It was such a great read-through. And I love Hirohiko as a rival for Chihiro. So much better fit than Sojo ever would have been. Who doesn't have a filter so you get some crazy content from fandom so I don't hit it? It's just, it is what it is. You know, I just wish it was I just wish it worked. You know what I mean? I just wish it worked. All right, are we ready? Give it another minute or so and we'll get started, y'all. Does anyone have any other questions or any pressing issues before we get going? I thank you all so much for being here, and remember, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. It really helps the stream and the channel way more than you know. But if you haven't seen Kagurabachi, I highly recommend you check it out. It's a great series. Oh, I'm gonna go through Chihiro from the very beginning before we get started. That way we're all on the same page here. Can you give Chihiro 3 sensu beans? So, very quickly, just so we all kind of understand what we're dealing with here. No, I don't want you to join the tab. There we go. Just so we're all on the same page here, I'm going to go over a brief discussion of Chihiro, just so we're all on the same page. Oh, and by the way, hey Tiberius, how we doing? You actually reminded me because I know we got a lot of Kagurabachi stands in the chat and especially on the mod team. If any of you mods want to hop in the call and everything with me, please feel free. Definitely, again, don't feel obligated to, but if you want to. I'm just setting everything up and then I'll go into the Chihiro discussion here. Hey, Roses, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the dono. Whoa. Yeah. I think that should be correct here. All right, we can get into that later. Okay. Tiberius is gonna hop on. Hey yo, we love that. Chihiro not making it past Megami. Chihiro's bag's pretty nice, not gonna lie. Yeah, exactly. Let's get into some Chihiro content. Let's see. Let's get into some Chihiro discussion here. So, for those that are pretty much unfamiliar with Chihiro Rokuhira, he is the son of Kunishige Rokuhira and is the main character of Kagurabachi. He is essentially an Avenger. His father was killed 3 years ago by the Hashaku. And what Chihiro has basically decided to do from that point is get revenge. So from that day 3 years ago, Chihiro has vowed to use the blade Enten, the final quote-unquote enchanted blade created by his father, blades that are able to use spirit energy and something called Datenseki in order to wield supernatural powers and abilities. And he uses it to slaughter his enemies and slaughter anyone in his way and any obstacles in his way in order to get to his prize, the Hashaku, the sorcerers that killed his father. Now, it's very much apparent, especially in the most recent chapters, and it's part of his character. Chihiro has no formal training when it comes to combat. No formal training really whatsoever. He is a character that just runs based off of aura. There's no other way to describe it. He has two swords. He has the enchanted blade Enten, and then he also has a Wakizashi, the smaller blade, if he needs to take it out to use quick extra attacks, block if Enten is out of his grip. Either way, the important and primary blade that Chihiro uses is known as Enten, and this is his enchanted blade. And again, Chihiro uses his spirit energy, which is not the same thing as cursed energy, but it's kind of honestly a little similar. And by using the spirit energy, he's able to tap into Enten and be able to conjure, different abilities into reality. Now, most enchanted blades in Kagurabachi have 3 set techniques, most likely. Some may have more depending on them, but as far as it goes, Chihiro specifically has 3, but he's able to then take those 3 base and kind of create splintered off versions and like secondary properties of them, right? But we'll get into that when we come to it. Right now, all you really need to know is the 3 direct properties or the 3 direct abilities of Enten are Kuro, in which Chihiro summons a black goldfish that covers his arm and katana in liquid, and as he releases that liquid and sends flying slashes about it, it basically just greatly expands how far the range of his slashing goes. They're also significantly more powerful, which allows him to take on entire crowds of enemies in one single slash and cut through them immediately. And being able to combine that into his combos can just, again, increase his range, turn him into a short to mid to long range fighter potentially, and it's his most common move. There are 2 different, there's one different type of technique he has with Kuro, which is Shred, where basically instead of launching it as one big oscillating wave or one big wide arching blast, he can actually spread his spirit energy as small little black goldfish that basically go across an entire area, and then once by, releasing his blade, releasing the power that's contained in those little goldfish, it basically just creates a giant storm of slashes across that area. It's smaller, weaker slashes than the one big one, but because there's so many of them, it can just shred through people very easily. We also have the second technique, which is known as Akka, which is an ability that allows him to summon the red goldfish and blocks any incoming attacks. But not only does it act as defense, it also absorbs whatever energy it's attacked with, and then allows, Chihiro to take that absorbed energy and then fire it back, using the same kind of power that was absorbed. So it's basically a 1-to-1 direct attack reflection. It doesn't really seem to be there doesn't seem to be like a restriction to what Chihiro is able to use Aka for, because his biggest feat so far is absorbing Sojo's Enchanted Blade Lightning. And Sojo's Enchanted Blade Lightning almost basically obliterated an entire storefront area, almost a city block, I would say. It's a pretty almost huge explosion that Chihiro was able to endure and soak in entirely. So Aka is able to even exceed Chihiro's own durability, it seems, in certain instances, as long as he uses it fast enough, right? I mean, if he can still get hurt, like he doesn't have impenetrable defense, you know, he still also has to call the red goldfish, have enough spirit energy to do so. Yeah, Aka was also able to use Aka Flame Bone as well. That was great when he used it in the Rakuzachi with Hiyuki's blade. The fact the sword can create an explosion is impressive. Yeah. And then we have Nishiki, which is the tri-colored goldfish that basically becomes a cloak of spirit energy that Chihiro is able to wear, that allows him to basically follow through with his blade movements, move a lot faster, endure hits a lot better, and also just overpower himself entirely. By using Nishiki, not only does it amplify his movement, his speed, his agility, and basically allow him to just, you know, cut through hordes of enemies fast, not just using Kuro, but his own ability. He's also able to amplify Nishiki 3 times the average spirit energy amount that he carries. So he's able to essentially amplify all of his stats to the multiplier of 3 is what it seems. So with Nishiki Cloak, it is a significant upgrade to his already big abilities. Add that with Kuro Shred, and the ability to absorb attacks with Aka. Just Enten alone is a pretty great arsenal to have just on itself. You could technically, specifically give Chihiro, if you really wanted to, you could give him Cloud Gouger, which is Sojo's enchanted blade, because he does use that a little bit during the Rakuzachi arc. Yes. Which essentially gives him the ability to use ice as well as lightning, which, as someone mentioned earlier in the chat, actually does give Chihiro the ability to keep up with lightning speed, because not only was he able to keep up with a lightning pace used by Sojo and Cloud Gouger, which was, you know, confirmed to be lightning speed, using Nishiki Cloak 3 times multiplier on his speed, base Chihiro was able to keep up with lightning. The 3 times speed made him almost even faster than Sojo when Sojo was reaching his peak. China Doll, thank you for the 5 gifted members. I appreciate that love. Thank you so much. We got Light Skin saying Chihiro's bag is weak. That's crazy. Pretty sure Aka could copy the attacks it absorbs, since how he copied Flamebone. Yes, so that's probably a little bit of a better explanation. So when it absorbs the attacks and it takes it back, it literally fires the exact same attack back. It's not that it just takes the spirit energy and fires that massive amount of force back, just the direct AP. Aka literally recreates the attack that it copies. So if we are to take into the fact that Chihiro was able to endure the giant lightning explosion that Sojo was able to create, as well as has gained multiple amounts of strength since that point, if we include Nishiki with 3 times multiplier, Nishiki Cloak with a 3 times multiplier on stats, his lightning time speed, if not faster at this point, and if there's definitely other things that I'm forgetting. I mean, Chihiro is just a great combatant in general. We have to remember, like, a lot of these feats that he's able to gain are completely on the fly with no prior training. I have to stress again that Chihiro was not trained in swordsmanship. He was not trained in combat. He never really even had a mentor. He has moved just based off of where his blade has told him to go. Not literally, I mean that figuratively. Like, he is just a prodigal genius, as the story kind of lays it out. The only kind of thing that you could give Chihiro is that his eyes are very perceptive. Now, this is not to say that Chihiro has like Sharingan eyes or Chihiro has like special genetic eyes. All this really means is that Chihiro's innate talent is to very easily analyze and identify things that are within his extrasensory, within his just plain eyesight alone. He's very easily able to pick things up, which I like to say gives him the Goku factor of being able to watch someone do an attack, and if it's a replicatable attack, it's not like a direct sorcerer style thing, Chihiro is able to copy that attack, which is how we actually see Chihiro use one of the most esoteric and almost forgotten sword styles of all time, the EI White Purity style swordsman technique, which is the new thing that Chihiro is currently trying to use after losing against Somura and the big sword bearer assassination arc. New era Chihiro in the anti-Somura squad is learning to recreate Seiichi Somura and Aruha. What's Aruha's other name? I'm sorry, Yoji. I knew it was Yoji. And Aruha Yoji. Only 3 people have ever mastered the sword style, but Chihiro was able to learn it and almost copy it to perfection just based off of watching it be done. Now, it's not perfect, but what the White Purity EI style does, the White EI Purity style does, is it allows Chihiro to wield his blade in a way and essentially use a burst of spirit energy to further amplify his speed even higher than that. So while we don't know exactly how fast the amplification of the EI White Purity style is, we do know that not only has Chihiro exceeded 3 times the speed of lightning, it may even be higher than that using that. So ultimately, at the end of the day, we also have, don't forget the feat where Sojo head slammed into a large building-sized boulder, destroying it, and Chihiro was able to clash with Sojo despite that. So we have to, at the very least, based off of Nishiki Cloak, Kuro Shred, the amount of damage that Chihiro has been shown to take as well as use. He's survived multiple explosions in the Rakuzachi arc, as well as been able to cut through, you know, multiple different large structures, like the giant wooden structures that I believe Jadhashaku, what's Jadhashaku's name? Yora? I'm sorry. Yora created those giant tree structures. We have the one sorcerer that was able to do that. And I have to say that if we are to solidify putting Chihiro really anywhere, I would have to say he is at the very least above city block level. I don't know if I would put him at multi-city block level. That's a little bit of a stretch. He might just barely be nearing that. I would say a city block, if not a little bit higher than city block. Now, Chihiro's speed has to be 110% faster than lightning, potentially 3 times or more faster than lightning, which is going to put him significantly faster than really anyone in the Shibuya incident. Whereas his attack potency may be a little bit low. We also have to remember that this is a Chihiro that is capable of jumping all the way up a 6 to 7 story building in one hop. So he is very much like fucking very clearly agile, able to fight in the city structure of Shibuya. He's going to be able to keep up with the disaster curses. And like I said, he's going to be faster than the disasters, but he's going to be able to keep up with their attacks. With Akka, he should be able to absorb a lot of the potential blows. Now, if we are talking huge attacks, like Maximum Meteor, Maximum Uzumaki, a lot of those things are going to be a big problem for Chihiro. Also including domain expansion, that's going to be one of the biggest problems that Chihiro is going to encounter, simply because he really doesn't have any kind of anti-domain way to stop. I never liked lightning scaling because they turn around and get smacked by sub-lightning attacks. So the thing about Jujutsu Kaisen is Jujutsu Kaisen and its lightning scaling is definitely it's arguable to go either way. I lean closer to there are a select couple of characters who are fast enough to reach lightning speed. However, I would say I agree it is a little inconsistent when it comes to Jujutsu Kaisen. However, when it comes to Kagurabachi, I would say the speed in Kagurabachi is a little bit more concrete. It's much safer to say that a lot of the characters in Kagurabachi are just either close to, if not at lightning speed, potentially faster. If he's faster than lightning, would he be faster than the first? Yeah, Chihiro is definitely faster than most characters in Jujutsu Kaisen. When it comes down to characters like Sukuna, Maki, Hikari, Kashimo, that is probably where I would say we get a little bit closer. I would probably say at the end of the day, Chihiro is probably faster than almost all of Jujutsu Kaisen, but I could see arguments being made where those characters would at least be able to keep up with Chihiro. At least to a point where speed wouldn't be the deciding factor in the fight. Not saying speed would be a deciding factor in any of these fights either, but again, that's going to give Chihiro a large advantage, enough of an advantage to give him, to cut him slack on the lower attack potency when it comes to some of these curse spirits. Because once we start getting to some of the disaster curses, right, some of the disaster curses are definitely going to be reaching multi-city block level, especially with, again, Jogo's Meteor, Dagon's, giant floods and domain expansion, Hanami, at the very least, all of these characters are city block. And then, yeah, these characters, Jogo, Mahito, are definitely reaching multiple city block. You've got Toji and Kenjaku, who could arguably, Toji's probably sitting around there too, but Kenjaku, you could argue, might even be able to destroy a small town on his own. Maybe even more than that. But long story short, that being said, so Chihiro is a special grade? I don't know if I would go that far. As far as sorcerer goes, where would Chihiro scale to at least a Shibuya incident Yuji? I would probably say that Chihiro would probably win against the Shibuya incident Yuji if I had to put them in the same shoes, right? Peak of grade 1, exactly, Jesse. Thank you. What's up? What up, Tiberius? How we doing? We're doing good. We're doing good. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can connect this. Let me see if I can connect this call here. Let me see. What you up to? That'd actually probably be a good fight. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can. Let me. I don't know why this isn't letting me connect the call. Hold on. Oh, you know why? Hold on. I think I figured it out. Yeah, take your time. They can't hear you anyway. Alright. We'll see if that works. And if not, I'll just have to turn the music off. What up, Myers? How we doing? Do we think he wins against Mahito? We'll get into each individual battle for sure. Chihiro's beating all disaster curses high diff. We're gonna have to see. I'm definitely interested to go into it, especially now that we've put basically a power level on Chihiro, right? We've got a pretty good idea of where he stands, and something that I think that I might have brushed over while we wait for Tiberius to kick back in is honestly his intuition. He's literally like a huge genius. Like, he is very much easily able to find interesting ways to overcome a lot of situations that a lot of people would find struggling. He is a very gifted and intelligent character. The Kuro Shred technique that I mentioned earlier was something that he came up with on the fly when he was very low on spirit energy, very damaged and wounded in battle, and just very low in stamina in general, and wasn't able to use a full Kuro. So he was literally on the fly thinking of ways that he would be able to take down an entire room of enemies without wasting all of his spirit energy. And then literally right after this, he's able to think of Nishiki Cloak, which buffs him 3 times while he's injured, and then take on Sojo, who was also at the peak of his Cloud Gouger realm. And one thing that I did not mention either, also going into the EI White Purity style, is the true realm of Enchanted Blades. The true realm of Enchanted Blades is something that only a fully fledged master of an Enchanted Blade can wield. And it's when the user of the Enchanted Blade is fully and completely matched with their specific wielder. So their thoughts, their essences, their spirit energy, everything about them is completely in tune and together. And what that happens is they are able to freestyle so many different types of tactics and abilities using this, because this is how Chihiro is even able to make Cloud Gouger his own, despite already having an Enchanted Blade in and of itself, and use the last little bits of Cloud Gouger after defeating Sojo to defeat a Datenseki Crystal Warrior at the Rakuzachi. Did I mention his weird room darkening technique he used against Hirohiko? That's a really good point too. When he's fighting Hirohiko during the Swordbearer assassination arc, and he's taking a lot of damage from Hirohiko's origami sorcery flying all over the theater, and Chihiro wants to do his best to save everybody. What he does is he does some kind of crazy technique, like Crimson Shifter said, a room darkening technique, where he fills the entire room with Kuro and shreds all of the origami while cutting himself and hurting himself. He keeps all of the innocent people in the theater safe and completely cuts off all of Hirohiko's arms, keeps Hirohiko alive at the very last second just so we can question him about the Hoshaku. Yeah, hold on. I wish I could get this to... Hold on, let me leave and come back really quick. I gotta leave this and come back, because they still can't hear you. I don't know why. Give me a second. Alright, hold on. I just came back in. Alright. Let me see. Actually, let me pop this out. Maybe if I pop this out. Let's see. Can I get you to say some words? Fuck. Alright, that didn't work either. Alright, hold on. Alright, well then we're just gonna have to do this. That's fine. Hold on. We're just gonna turn music off. That's okay. We don't need music. Yeah, exactly. You know what? That's what we'll do. Hold on. And let me just fix the audio. All right. Do some yodeling for me.
Oh, damn. Now
Nah,
I got
I'm
stage
just kidding.
fright.
All right. I think we should be good. Chat. Everyone's able to hear Tiberius. Everyone. He's coming in. He's coming in strong. He's coming in hot.
Chat.
We should be able to. Jesse says, "There we go."
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, perfect. All right, perfect. So yeah, I guess I was kind of yapping about Chihiro for a long period of time. Do you have anything that you want to add about Chihiro before we get into it? Because I'm sorry I cut you off before because we couldn't hear you, but
Yeah, no, the room darkening technique that someone in chat mentioned, I was saying, like, the way I interpreted that scene was he's essentially just kind of painting on all the origami, all the paper that was like surrounding them, because there's so much that were like enclosed in like paper. So he basically just covered that entire area with the paper, kind of using it against Hirohiko.
yeah, that's what it basically seemed like. Like it's been a
Plus,
while
he
since we've
aura
seen Chihiro
farms.
use Enten, and since we've seen Chihiro use Enten, especially with the
True.
white purity style and the the kind of like more like traditional like attacks and like or traditional like style of swordsmanship he's been using now. So I'm interested to see like how he would combine everything together, even including like that, like you said, like using like the Kuro like paint strokes.
Yeah, and he does all of it while like aura farming. You know, he always looks like a badass.
He does always look like a badass. That's one thing that they are perfect at, is making sure that he looks dope. But
And then synchronize, like how they synchronize with the true realm. Like
mhm,
that's like,
that's what I was kind of
it's
getting
gonna
into
be.
while you were gone.
I'm excited to see like how that the deeper he gets into the true realm, what that actually means, and um like where's Flamebone, like who made Flamebone, because that's not an enchanted blade technically from Rakuhira, but it's essentially like it.
Hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that's happening in that verse that Okazona's cooking.
Oh hell yeah! Oh hell yeah! But let's get
And remember, you
started.
didn't like it at first.
Yeah, I was saying that. I was saying that because I was telling people to to read it, and I was like, you might hear that I didn't like it at first, but no, I love it, especially what's going on now. It's actually really great. Um, But getting into the Shibuya incident, so before we even got into the Shibuya incident, I wanted to at least put the finger bearer curse on there first, just to see if Chihiro would even be able to handle a potential special grade curse spirit like this. Um, Now, honestly, if we're assuming that Chihiro is just a little bit below things like Jogo's meteor, or like things like Mahito's whole entire like idol transfiguration, where he covers that whole entire intersection of Shibuya with his flesh and
Yeah.
everything like that. Like, if Chihiro's just coming in barely under that, and he's also again outspeeding most of the characters that are going to even be on this tier list, he's taking like all of Sojo's giant lightning, which sounds, I might want to rephrase that now that I say that, but
that lightning rod, huh?
but yeah, no, I fully wholeheartedly believe that, like, I mean, curse spirits like the finger bearer curse spirits like the grasshopper curse, like they are literally not even going to be able to stand a chance against Chihiro. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be one and done, low diff W indeed for
They
honestly
blink and
both.
it's over.
Yeah, he's just too like characters like this that, like, I guess like the finger bearer has like the little like cursed energy blast that it can send out. Like the grasshopper curse is just cooked without a doubt. Like that this secret dick strike, that ain't that ain't coming in hot. That ain't coming in to help at all. And like maybe you could say that, like, oh, like the finger bearer tries to catch Chiro off guard, but like my man's got fucking spidey senses. And also, like, even if you want to say that, like, again, taking out the speed advantage here, like he could just use Akka, absorb it, and then fire it back, and that finger bearer curse is cooked.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think Akka's like the big key for that Chihiro's like end of the series bag. Pretty impressive what he can do with it.
Yeah, especially with the fact
And
that like people were saying that like you can basically just copy whatever you absorb, like how he basically just copied Flamebone.
yeah, he just hit that Akka, and that's like I said, aura farming. But yeah, no, I think he just collapsed those two. I mean, if the Finger Bearer Curse is losing to Megami in season one, it's definitely GG's.
Exactly. Now, the reason why I want to go through every single person on the list, like even if you want to, the reason why I changed it from like how far would Chihiro get is because some of these characters are going to be different than others. As we stated before, like one of the biggest things that Chihiro is going to run into is going to be domain expansions, because he doesn't
Yeah.
really have any way to just like anti-domain it. Like he can't really use
He don't
simple
have
domain.
the Hishaku teleport. He don't have none of that. So he gets
Literally.
stuck. He's screwed
And
unless
Akka
he can end
like
it.
is
But
only gonna go so far in a domain expansion. Like if it's a constant hit, like some of
yeah,
these,
it
it's
just
just,
appears on the body, so he wouldn't even be able to really Akka it. I would imagine.
yeah. There was one thing I said in I think in the Demon Slayer versus Shibuya incident video that I did, where I was like, okay, like with their like high speed, like it's possible like they could potentially like maybe try and mimic a simple domain by like just cutting all around them really fast, like in Dagon's domain specifically with all the crazy invisible Shikigami. But it's just like that's just so like, but even if you want to say that would work in like Dagon's because all the Shikigami are just like appearing right on you and you can cut away the Shikigami, like the next person we have on this list, the next curse is going to be the smallpox deity, where like that's not going to
You get
work.
put in a box. Yeah, you just get put in a box.
I mean, Mei was able to break out of the box, and it just we have already established that if Chihiro hasn't matched Mei in power, he might even be higher. So that's not going to be a problem of breaking out of the box, breaking out of the boulder that he gets put into. I guess the biggest thing is going
I
to be
mean,
if you believe he just speed
stamina.
blitzes.
Yeah, I think he'd wear him. I think he might get worn out just because it isn't going to be. I'd imagine he'd have to use a notable attack. Like, do you think he's breaking that box without using the intense like abilities?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Do you think he's breaking out of that box like without using intense abilities? Like just
I
a regular.
Yeah, I would probably say so. I mean, if Mei is being able to break out of the boulder with like just her
True.
axe, I would imagine so. Maybe at best like he might need like a Kuro or like he might need a like just to amplify that attack power a little bit. Maybe he needs to Nishiki cloak while he's in the domain expansion because the box and but like at the end of the day it is just a boulder, right?
Yeah,
If we're assuming Chihiro can handle again Sojo's giant lightning blast and output that same kind of power, if not more so. I'm imagining a boulder is not going to be what puts him down. I would have what I would think would be the issue with the smallpox deity is, do you think he would be able to break out of the boulder and then jump the smallpox curse faster than Mei could? And I would probably say the answer would be yes.
I would agree.
Yeah,
His speed is just way above, especially that point of JJK. Like we didn't even get the well, I guess technically we had Naobito. We did see Naobito, like his projection sorcery and like his speed feat of being the second fast or the fastest sorcerer aside from Gojo. But I mean, yeah, I agree. You just speed blitz him.
Dom also makes a really good point. Nichiro could just Koroi shred this man. Imagine like he stays in the box, but he was still able to sprinkle like the goldfish everywhere, and then from inside the box, like
Yeah.
the smallpox curse just thinks he's done, and then he just shreds, and everything is just cooked. That's actually another way to win. Because I was gonna say like if we equalize speed, because I don't want to just say that Chihiro just speed blitzes everyone. That's
Speed
kind of
blitzes.
boring.
Yeah, the
Um,
answer is kind of dull for.
Yeah, I think specifically for like the smallpox curse, I think that is also like a great way to give him a win condition if Chihiro is, let's say, as fast as Mei, put him in the same kind of shoes. And again, with the
So
Shiki cloak, like with the 3 times amp, I think he would easily be able to break out and also like increase his speed. Which even if we're saying that speed equalization is on base terms, if we're saying Chihiro still can then amplify his speed 3 times after that point, then
mm,
I think he should be able to forego not having like a wee to help distract small. I still think even if it was speed equalized, I think Chihiro's got win
I
cons over
agree,
the smallpox. If Mei can do
especially
it
like
without
Curse
simple
Ray, like in
domain,
chat.
then Chihiro can.
Do you think that he can? Do you think that he could summon a fish and then pour like his like spiritual energy into the fish for the fish to get trapped? I mean, not that it matters,
Huh.
but just as like a random scenario,
That's
because it
actually
says it targets the most like energy in the domain as what it targets.
That is a good point. And actually, I think I don't know. We've never seen him do something like that in canon, or maybe I'm wrong and I'm forgetting if he has or not. But I would, but like I know like the way he did that with the Rakuzachi storage room, right? He left a goldfish like there to keep tabs on Enton, or like he was able to like
But his
yeah.
spirit energy and manifest it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, because they're permanently attached in contract to the Enton. So like you could even say that like let's say Chihiro is stuck in the same cycle that Mei is, and he can't get out, and he says, you know what, um I'm gonna break this boulder, and then I'm going to throw Enton away, and all of my spirit energy, I'm gonna put all my spirit energy in Enton, throw it out, and then it's gonna get trapped, and then I can like fucking just bare knuckle box the smallpox curse. I don't fucking know, but like I
And
think
even with his regular Wakazashi,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and he's
exactly.
enhancing his body and stuff with his
Yep, and even if like let's say
good
he
energy.
activates Nishiki after, Enton gets, trapped in the box, then like the smallpox curse is already doing one, person, he can't do another, so like at that point he's already tricked. Yeah, I think with the amount of I think this is honestly another low diff, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I agree.
I just can't see
Also,
I just can't see anything, that they'd be able to do. But yeah, Choso, our golden boy, the best brother is up next with blood manipulation, everything like that. And I don't know. I guess if I'm to say that if I was literally about to call Chihiro Kagurabachi. If fucking Chihiro is if I'm saying, Chihiro might be stronger than Shibuya Yuji at this point. I'm just gonna have to imagine that he should be able to win this too. But I'm curious what you think.
the Choso's poison blood is would be a thing of concern because
Yeah.
Chihiro has no real like way to heal either. And I mean, as long as Choso has curse energy, he could turn that into blood. He can essentially, like he did against Naoya, flood the But then again, like we talked about the speed, but Choso himself, if Chihiro reaches him, eh, I could see Chihiro taking this, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, the biggest thing is going to be, like you said, is going to be Choso's poison blood, because unlike, someone like Yuji, unlike
Yuji beat Choso, but that's because of the water.
and I wouldn't even say Yuji beat Choso. I
Well, no, he didn't
honestly,
even beat Choso. Choso beat him. Yeah, but I say Choso beat him. Yeah, he even won in the bathroom.
but yeah, no, I think the blood is a big factor, because if Chihiro is going to be slowly just getting poisoned the entire time, and also we've even seen where Choso was fighting Naoya, and it was honestly kind of a very similar scenario where Naoya was just absolutely speed blitzing Choso to where Choso couldn't even keep up. Even when Choso was using Red Scale to like heighten up his eye perception, it wasn't enough to keep tabs on Naoya's speed. And
Yeah.
what Choso ended up doing was, not only was his blood poisonous to Choso, and not only was Choso's blood poisonous to Naoya, and started to affect him and exhaust Naoya and lower his stamina, lower his speed, and lower his stats, debuff him basically. He was also able to harden all of the blood that just got soaked all over Naoya's clothes, to basically slow Naoya down. So that's going to be a big issue, to where Choso can literally just create a giant blood tidal wave like he did against Naoya, get blood all over Chihiro, and even if Chihiro is able to survive the blood attack, even if Chihiro is able to, somewhat dodge it or someone get away with it, if Choso can use the blood to slow Chihiro down, bring him down to his speed, and then again, if Choso can land one piercing blood, or like even a small blood blade, or even once, get Chihiro caught off guard, stunned with the hardened blood, and then stab a blood blade into his foot or something, and just slowly start exhausting him. This is a fight that Chihiro could eventually lose through attrition, depending on, again, the kind of handicaps or advantage that we give in the battle. Because if we're just saying that Chihiro is, base faster than lightning, and then he can just amplify that, who knows how many, 3 times, if not more. Obviously, Chihiro is going to be running circles, if not more, around Choso. And then with Nishiki Cloak, attack potency coming, just under, what Jogo Meteor or, Mahito's max idle transfiguration can do. That's not going to be looking good for Choso, who we know was starting to get hurt by Yuji's punches, Yuji's attacks that were definitely doing some critical damage to him. So if Chihiro can come anywhere close to that kind of attack, then it's going to be bad for, especially with a sword. It's not going to be good for Choso. Choso does have blood hardening. He can harden his body, so that's going to be able to tank the
Yeah.
attacks a lot better. So this actually is
That's
a
how
pretty decent
Black
fight.
Flash from Sukuna,
Yeah,
he
true.
hardened up.
Very true. A
I
Black
mean,
Flash from Sukuna is some pretty fucking hefty damage.
Out of 10 like say out of 10 fights, how many fights you have Chihiro winning?
Um, it's tough because I think Akka has less viability in a battle like this,
Agree.
specifically because the blood is a lot harder, I would say, to like absorb an attack from and like fire the attack for. You know what I mean? That's a little
Yes.
tougher, especially with the way that Choso can manipulate it. Choso can use it in weird ways. He can like anticipate the fact that it's going to be absorbed. And again, if Choso just fires an entire tidal wave at Chihiro, like if they fight in the same location in that small little narrow like underground subway station, Choso definitely has the advantage in that area. Even no matter you give speed equalization or not, Choso can still come out of this fight looking pretty well. And again, the fact that Choso's poisonous blood can come into effect, Choso can again weigh down Chihiro's clothes to lower the speed advantage. There are ways that Chihiro could win. I think out of 5 out of 10, or I'm sorry, out of 10 times, um,
I personally am at 6 out of 10 for Chihiro. I
y-
think he's Choso's gonna try to piercing blood, and I can see Chihiro making him pay like just that speed because Yuji couldn't really close the gap fast enough. But like with Chihiro, that's a different story.
yeah, Chihiro. Like I think the big thing for me is with Choso being able to harden his body with the blood against something like Yuji with like punches and kicks. Like it sounds dumb, but like I feel like the force of the attacks from that can still reverberate, still do damage. Whereas like Chihiro's sword, if it doesn't cut through Choso, then like and it gets stopped by the hardened blood, then like that's like a problem, right? At least
Mhm.
am I do you think I'm crazy for thinking those are two different kinds of attacks and like
No, I
Yuji?
agree. Like the blunt attack, is compared to like a slashing attack. I could it's harder. Like just picturing even when Noritoshi. Damn, I could not say that. Because he used his blood to block Naoya when curse Naoya.
Yeah,
But never see it blocking used like that to block a blade. So I would definitely say that it's a good chance that that could be the you know difference. That could make up the difference at least, and for me, um,
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. Real quick, China Doll, thank you so much again for the 5 gifted
nope,
members. I really appreciate that. And Myers, thank you as well
Myers.
for the gifted members. Love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. You guys are killing it. Thank you. Thank you.
And Chihiro, it's gonna be interesting to see when Chihiro does get N10 back, like how often he uses it, like in terms of like his stamina with like spamming these abilities, because I mean, you could say he's grown a lot, just in this short time from the in the hotel.
Definitely. I completely agree with that. And I was just gonna say, I wonder how the EI White Purity style would factor into a fight like this. And like if that would with like that quick burst of spirit energy, like if Chihiro would be able to catch Choso much more off guard with like a burst of speed like that. And I wonder also a big question would be is like with Nishiki and with the spirit energy buffing of his attacks, like how strong is Choso's blood shields compared to the kind of force that Chihiro is able to output, right? Um,
Yeah, because he's bringing like he's wild. He's packing a punch. Behind his blows.
mhm.
So it's not like just a big attack. He's constantly hitting powerful strikes.
Yeah, and if we are to say that like Kuro, if he's able to use Kuro Shred to kind of get small attacks in, like it's almost like and also with the room attack that he used against Hirohiko, I think I do agree with you where I think there are more instances of a chance for Chihiro to win than there are for Choso, but Choso's actually got a bunch of pretty decent win conditions that I would never want to take from him. Um, I guess we could say mid diff. Would you say high diff or would you go mid? I think. Hmm.
I would say mid diff because
Hmm.
it like in my head, like with Choso, it comes down to what's he gonna do with his blood, which is kind of just like very inconsistent to try and like, you know, headcanon this fight. But I personally just it feels more like Chihiro has. I feel just like it's a more solidified argument for Chihiro. Just given he mid diffs Choso. Just in my
Yeah.
head, because like we have to play off like, oh, is like, can he get the blood? Like if Chihiro does get the blood in his system, but what if it's over by that point? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm thinking to myself because the big thing for me is like if we completely take out speed and we just make it like if we were to put Chihiro and Choso in the bathroom, the same bathroom that you hit, and it was with no speeds in the equation, and it's just like hands. Maybe you give Chihiro his wakizashi. Like, who is coming out of that fight? Because
Oh,
two of them are they're both inexperienced fighters. Chihiro Choso isn't that great. That's kind of why Yuji kind of almost has like a little bit of a better advantage on him. Is like Choso is kind of like inexperienced when it comes to close quarters combat, but also Chihiro's not trained at all. So like I feel like in like a bathroom fight with them two going head to head, I'm struggling to envision Chihiro putting up as good, if not better, of a fight than Yuji in that scenario. But
yeah, no, that's a good like scenario to think about because Choso doesn't get any of. I mean, he just can harden his like body, and he can do the meteorite thing one time or whatever. Like, but he doesn't have much utility. Whereas like Chihiro with just a Wakazashi, he doesn't have like Kuro or nothing like that. I would say I would give that to maybe ooh, I'd probably still maybe say 5 out of 5. That'd be
I would
hard for me.
I feel more comfortable with like because I guess it really comes down to like you said how this fight goes, what the environment is. I think this fight has potential to become really hard for Chihiro because again, like I said, if you harden
Mm.
Chihiro's clothes, if you poison him early on in the fight, then Chihiro's basically just
And
fighting against himself as well as fighting Choso at the entire time. And again, if you remove again, this is also removing Enton from the equation too, right? Because Kuro, Nishiki, stuff like that, still probably give him advantage. I'm like, I'm like, it's almost like I feel like it's like in between mid and high diff almost. You know what I mean? It's like
it's like I feel like we have to take more away from Chihiro to make it more like a more balanced
I
situation.
guess you're right.
You know
Yeah.
what you know what I mean?
I
Like
guess you're
and
right.
but I mean I see what you're saying too because like depending like the scenario, like in that bathroom, it's a different game. And Chihiro's eyes do or will come into play not maybe for this fight specifically, but like say he gets the blood on, Chihiro's coat. Chihiro will toss the coat and then, he'll he adapts quickly. He'd be, on his P's and Q's.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just think Chihiro has it.
Yeah. Mid.
But I would say mid def still. It's not he's definitely
I
gonna
agree.
have a harder time than old grasshopper.
I agree. I think you bring up a good point with the where we have to take things away from Chihiro to kind of make it more of a high diff fight. And yeah, and as White almost said in chat, Chihiro's a really smart fighter. Like his battle IQ, he's able to adapt very easily. So yeah, I think yeah, I think mid diff makes much more sense. So that being said, we have moved into the disaster curse family. Of course, I'm gonna say Hanami is gonna go first. And Hanami is interesting because I think, funnily enough, seeing the way that Hanami uses her trees and the way that at least it's animated in the exchange event where it's just a bunch of tendrils and Yuji and Toto are running across the trees and you also have it just being able to encompass all of Jujutsu headquarters with the great forest creation jutsu that Hanami's able to use. Like, I think a
And a
lot of
domain.
yeah, and the domain. So the domain is interesting. I definitely want to focus on that. but based on like the regular fight that we've seen Hanami be able to put up, at least it might just be me, but it seems very similar to a lot of the fights that Chihiro has to deal with in the Rakuzachi arc, because we see Chihiro be able to take on the plant sorcery against Yora, be able to basically bust through an entire wall of trees, like very similar to almost what Hanami would have been able to create. And also on top of that, we also see when Chihiro is fighting the Sazanami head, what's his name again? I'm sorry, Kyora, yeah. When he's fighting in the storage room, the Sazanami head is also using basically the debris and the floor and everything in his storage room to like almost
The
like attack
space.
Chihiro in a very similar way to what Hanami would do with like Hanami's tree branches and everything. So we've seen Chihiro almost be in a very similar situation to this fight. And if not, honestly, there are like Kyora had like the grenades that he was throwing into the equation, all of the different extra things that he had in the storage room. Hanami does have the cursed buds, which Chihiro would probably have to look out for. That could be an instant win con if he gets hit with that. Even if it's not cursed energy, we could still just say it drains his stamina. But I'm curious what
Yep.
your thoughts would be.
Hanami also has those the little flower bed that basically like gets rid of
Your fighting spirit, yeah,
your fighting spirit, like so he can dull him a bit. But that like I think a lot of things that Hanami can use against Chihiro, it's kind of like he has to like catch Chihiro with it, because like if once Chihiro sees it, he's not gonna let it get him again. He's not gonna let it hit him again, or hit him. Um, but in the domain expansion, if it resorts to that, because it was like confirmed in a game, that mobile game,
yeah.
where it's like that laser beams his short hit.
Literally just a solar
Yeah,
beam.
but like he does have to like suck up all the plants and life around him to charge up, and then he, I guess, casts his barrier and then shoots it. So I
Exactly.
guess Chihiro could escape in that time, if he's kind of getting that danger sense queued up to like, oh, I should get out of here. There's gonna be a big blast.
One of
And
the
Hanami's also durable.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of the big things that Chihiro is gonna run into with the curses at this stage, especially with like people like Hanami, who we know are extremely durable, more durable than like Jogo, potentially just as durable, if not more than Dagon. Hanami was able to tank an entire hollow purple, even though you want to say it was very far away and they were still able
Yeah,
to dodge a little bit of it. That's still a very impressive feat. Also, on top of the fact that a lot of the curses at this stage are basically you could cut their arms off, cut their bodies off. You could basically cut them into pieces, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to regenerate because of how much just curse energy they are made up of. They like it's not as simple as Chihiro cuts off Hanami's head, the game is done. Chihiro could cut off Hanami's head and Hanami's head just grows back, whether that be from the body or the head grows the new body. So keep in mind this is gonna be like a fighting game, or if even if Chihiro wins one round, he's probably still got a good 3 4, who knows how many more rounds to go before he finally exhausts Hanami of cursed energy and fully exercises the curse spirit.
yeah. And Hanami, like the thing with Hanami is, especially with like the Toto Yuji fight, Hanami's using like so many different creations of like the forest, and I think with Chihiro he's gonna have to expend a lot of Kuros, and he's gonna have to use a lot of that spirit energy, and that's something that he just won't get back. You know what I mean? Once it's gone, he depletes that, but Hanami is essentially going to just keep spamming these different things. I think it's like a battle of attrition. And
Yeah.
I don't know if Chihiro is gonna just one tap him necessarily.
Yeah, that's a
It's
really good point. Is it basically will just be a battle of attrition? Is who lasts out longer? Is Chihiro's stamina, um, is his spirit energy amount large enough to hold out to just continually fight Hanami until Hanami's cursed energy amount runs
you
out?
know, he would have to almost do kind of like she was it Shion Simon from Hell's Paradise, the Thousand Sword. He'd basically have to like catch him and then just exhaust him before he regrows,
Yeah,
just keep
literally. And just
That's what it.
just keep cutting and just keep cutting and just keep cutting. And I mean, the thing with Chihiro is that his big issue is that he doesn't really have like a big
A
giant like
purple.
all yeah, exactly. He doesn't have like a big ultimate ending desperation move attack that is going to do a large amount of damage and like is going to be enough to where say all right, Hanami is in no way surviving that. Like how Gojo literally
Hmm.
just pushed his limitless against Hanami until Hanami literally just was just dust
Flat.
in the wind and just gone. Like Chihiro doesn't have an attack that will be able to apply that much force. So whatever battle Chihiro is going to be in, it unfortunately will just become a battle of attrition because even if you want to say full Nishiki cloak Kuroi into Hanami, like again, Hanami can most likely just regenerate from that. Even if you want to say full Nishiki cloak Kuroi shed and it just all over Hanami completely, and just covers Hanami and slashes, maybe, but that's also,
Yeah.
implying that Chihiro's even able to catch
And
Hanami in that kind of scenario. Because again, the way that Hanami's curse technique works, Hanami could be completely in other. Let's say Hanami creates a forest. Hanami can be in one end of the forest while all the trees, branches, and everything that Chihiro's fighting are completely way over in another side of the forest. Hanami doesn't even really have to be that close to Chihiro the entire fight. We know Hanami is able to hide inside of the trees. They're able to duck within, pop out. She can start fucking popping little curse bud bullets
hmm
towards Chihiro while he's distracted by other tree
she
branches.
can essentially just lift Chihiro up with the roots and everything to where he's gotta like use a move in order to not fall. You know what
Yep.
I mean? And yeah, I think with like especially Hanami's bag and the fact that she is durable. It's just like she can just spam multiple different things to keep Chihiro busy. Like if we gave Chihiro um like Hakuri and they could go to the storehouse to where Hakuri can like teleport him and like do a little
Give him the same
like
benefit as like Yuji got with Toto.
yeah, like that's his domain expansion out if we had Hakuri
True.
because he could just pop him out.
Yeah, because
But I
that's
mean,
one problem too, is like you said, domain is gonna be rough, especially like a domain like Hanami's, which is basically I trapped you in the domain, and all right, here's this giant solar beam, hyper beam that's just going to literally annihilate you. And I would have to say that like a domain of that level, especially with Hanami, should be more than enough to probably take out Chihiro. I mean, I guess you could argue that Chihiro could Akka the attack. But again, there's no guarantee he would survive that. At that point, we're kind of, we just don't have. I don't
eh,
know. I don't know if we have enough proof that Chihiro would be able to survive a domain
I
expansion
don't
like that through Akka. But
I don't even yeah, see I think like Aqua would be able to, to absorb the laser beam attack because it's like a pure energy type thing. But he wouldn't be able to like Akka the plants or nothing like that. Like I don't think we've seen him Akka like because he Hanami physically manifests those things.
yeah, I
So,
don't necessarily think he'd be able to Akka that. I definitely
but
definitely mean like the solar beam or whatever she
yeah,
sends in the
I
domain
mean,
expansion. That
eh,
would be like the only. But
if
like again, I don't know if it would be too much for him to handle because he's pretty banged up after taking the Sojo lightning explosion, and that's like barely anywhere close to the same kind of destructive capacity.
yeah, and I mean that could be if he could, you know, deal with the backlash after Arkham absorbing that solar beam attack, then it's Chihiro's W at that point because
Probably, yeah, because Hanami would be
Hanami has to absorb all
exhausted.
the plant life and everything, and burnt out curse technique. So, I mean, that could be a win con for Chihiro, if we think that he does outlast that beam, but we have nothing to really go up against because we never seen it actually like in canon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But I mean,
it's
just because of the bag, I think I got Hanami, but it's gonna be like, I think it'd be like Hanami's gonna win, but it's very difficult for Hanami to win. High difficulty.
Yeah, I would probably honestly at least against Hanami, I would say Hanami's main Main win conditions are going to be domain expansion for sure, and maybe Cursed Bud. Now, there's going to be two interpretations of this, right? Because obviously we have to consider that if we are giving Chihiro way faster than lightning speed, as well as with
Oh yeah.
Nishiki, giving him, 3 times amplification, potentially higher than that, then, with Chihiro having that kind of crazy speed, I think,
Right.
as well as the attack potency to be able to handle like the tree branches and anything that Hanami really handles, I think Chihiro mostly has like the base fight pretty easily handled for the most part. It's gonna be tough for him just because again, then it just becomes again who lasts the longest. Will Chihiro's stamina last long enough to kill Hanami 4, 5, 6, however many times it takes before Hanami's curse energy exhausts out? And then at that point, if Hanami does really get completely desperate, and we get a domain expansion, sure, Chihiro's pretty fast. He might be able to, dodge the domain, especially knowing how Hanami's domain works, where Hanami literally has to absorb the plant life in the area to gain
Yeah.
enough energy and open up the eye in their arm. So
And
that
it's pretty obvious what's going on too at that moment. Like he would see that and know.
yeah, exactly. He would definitely be able to he'd be able to see that happening and would be able to respond with like a Kuro or like some type of way to like stop that from happening. But even if he did get caught, I guess it really comes down to, do you think he'd be able to survive the blast with Akka? And like you said, if he is able to survive the blast with Akka, then at that point it should be Chihiro's win. Even if Chihiro is heavily damaged, he won't have a way to recover. He won't have a way to regenerate. But at that point, Hanami will be on her last legs. I mean, they'll both be on their last legs. So I think I think if we equalize speed, it definitely becomes a lot harder for Chihiro to win, because
And
then the
that's what I
base
was
fight.
basing my thing off of, was like
Yeah.
equalized speed. But if we give him his normal speed, then he's just outspeeding past the plants and ending it.
Yeah, no, I definitely think equalized speed Chihiro has a much harder time in the base fight. Domain is definitely, and then it comes down to again like domain is an instant win, potentially depending on Akka. But if we're giving Chihiro his regular stats, and Hanami with their regular stats, I think Chihiro has more win cons. It's just but frankly the only win con that Hanami has would be the domain expansion if Chihiro can't survive it. And then again, if we're giving Chihiro all of his speed, he should be able to, dodge any of the curse buds and any of the attacks that come by. I would even go as far as to argue he might even be able, with the curse buds and whatever, he might either be able to, if not cut them out, or the Nishiki might be able to stop them, or he might be able to Akka or do something. Either way, I think he should be faster. I think Hanami is a high diff W, high diff. Hanami's right in between high diff W, high diff L. They're
Yeah,
honestly
I
in like a
agree.
50-50 kind of like territory almost, depending on like what way the fight really ends up going. That's what we'll
Yeah,
call
I agree with
this.
that.
We'll call it a 50-50 category, and let's change the color to let's make it there. There we go. We'll put Hanami in the 50-50 category because it really could go either way. And again, domain is going to be the biggest thing there, like we mentioned earlier. But that's also going to be a big problem when it comes to someone like Dagon, because Dagon, while they're not as durable as Hanami, they're still pretty spongy. They're still pretty fucking, HP heavy. They're very durable. They can handle a lot of attacks. They're able to fight Naobito, Maki, and Nanami all at the same time and handle all of their attacks and take little to no damage really until Naobito kind of locked in, right? um,
Yeah,
Water is going to be a
now
pretty
beats.
big issue. Not as like aerial and as like easily manipulated as Hanami's, with the tree branches, but Dagon can still, manipulate the water, do water blasts, manipulate the water up in the air, have it levitate, can completely flood the entire Shibuya station that they were fighting in. Dagon is pretty decent, but Dagon's big problem is Dagon is just freshly born. and
Hmm.
just freshly born from being a curse womb. So they are very, very inexperienced in fighting. So Chihiro probably has, even with Chihiro's limited experience of fighting, Chihiro probably has the advantage when it comes to straight up just,
You know,
hands.
yeah, because he's like he's fighting for his life. You know what I mean? Chihiro's got like the little experience he has is valuable experience. And, like even with Hanami, remember Hanami didn't really have the thrill of fighting until that like fighting Toto and Yuji. Remember, he's like, oh, so this was what Mahito was talking about. And then with Dagon, it's like the basically had to, mature like after getting clapped up and then did the
Hmm.
domain. But I think if he could use Akka as like a what's it called? Not Hollow Wicker Basket, Falling Blossom Emotion. If he could use Akka like as a Falling Blossom Emotion type thing, that that would be huge because like I mean, I guess he could even just shred. He could just like I know we kind of like spamming that as a win con, but it's so good and you know, I mean his fish might take over that sea. Chihiro might get some new fish.
Yo, it's honestly, yeah, Kuro Shred is a really great ability, especially as we've seen, like almost like a completely different version of it against Hirohiko, and like you said, like we kind of described it as the paintbrush strokes. But I think base wise in like regular fighting, like again, speed equalization, non-speed equalized, Chihiro, if now Bito was just clocking Dagon and making him, embarrassed just
Styling
from
on him.
his little projection sorcery speed, then Chihiro should have no problem wailing on Dagon just as strong, especially if we are considering he can Nishiki cloak, and even if Chihiro doesn't have like that ultimate attack like we were saying against Hanami, Naobito was literally just throwing hands and feet. So I have no doubt that a Nishiki cloak to Chihiro should be able to replicate that kind of mollywopping. Especially
I,
again,
I
if we
agree.
already know that a speed blitz is more than enough to just catch Dagon off guard and put him to the floor. Now,
And then
go ahead.
oh no, you go ahead, but you finish.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
I say like just in character as well, like Hanami, you know, just in character, I can see Chihiro just ending it before he even resorts to a domain expansion. Chihiro kind of goes for the kill when he goes like he's not one of those people that has to like warm up in a fight. You know what I mean? He just starts off like trying to, end it.
Hmm.
But I definitely I think this would be I think I can see like a high diff W for Chihiro. But just because that domain,
Yeah, the domain is going to be the biggest issue for sure. Just because again, Chihiro doesn't have any anti-domain measures. He's going to get trapped inside of Dagon's domain if he gets stuck in it. And now you could argue that, like you said, what Tiberius just said, Chihiro is going to be going for the kill. If Dagon's getting, pushed around by Naobito's, punches and kicks, and Naobito literally, like, I think punched through his arms and broke his fucking arms and chest apart so he couldn't domain. And obviously Dagon was still able to make like the hand sign with like the little spirit symbol inside of his body, but Chihiro's main issue is he probably wouldn't be aware of, trying to avoid the domain expansion, even if you want to argue like, oh, well, he's fought all of these characters that might have had domain beforehand. Like, still, like, I think Chihiro not being as experienced as someone like Naobito, that's like obviously a veteran sorcerer who has been fighting for probably his whole life being in the Zenin clan. I don't want to give Chihiro that kind of advantage. So either way, like we would have to imagine that the way that Dagon works, this fight is always going to amount to a domain expansion, just because, again, speed equalization or not, even if we do equalize speed, as the moment that Chihiro activates Nishiki Cloak, he will gain an advantage in speed. Three times, whatever their equalized speed is going to be still 3 times faster than Dagon, which should allow him to projection sorcery blitz Dagon into a domain the same way that Naobito did. I don't think
and
the water is going to stand much of a threat to Chihiro, especially with the speed advantage and with Nishiki Cloak, cloaking his body. It's increasing his body's physicality. It's increasing his AP, his durability. He should be able to just push through, cut through the water, no problem. Like I said, if Nanami couldn't, Nanami's pretty strong, but again, with the spirit energy cloak, it's almost as if Yuta is using his cursed energy cloaked sword fighting the Zumba curse in Jujutsu Kaisen 0. You know, it should be able to cut through the cursed energy manipulated water. And also you have things like Kuro Shred that should be able to slip
Well,
through
see,
Dagon's water shield and actually use a bunch of small, a bunch of slashes to just kind of surround Dagon with. And because of Dagon's inexperience, he'll be a lot easier to catch than Hanami will. Not to say that Hanami's inexperienced or anything, but again, Dagon's water is a lot easier to slip through and get behind than Hanami's trees were.
you know, thinking about like, and this is a headcanon, like trying to give like lending Chihiro the benefit of doubt for like against domains. Like we know, like the spirit energy, it's kind of like he's connected to N10, right? So it's kind of like they're one and the same.
Yeah.
If he could like just manifest like Kuro Shred, but essentially keep the fish like on his like the cloak of spirit energy he's keeping around his body for like the little shreds instead of using it offensively, using it defensively to combat the multiple Shikigami,
Yeah,
because it would
that's
be his spirit energy.
Yeah, no, I completely think that is like the best chance he has because ultimately at the end of the day, what I think we're getting at is that Chihiro most likely would win the base fight, and that in the domain is where he would have the biggest issue because Horizon of the Captivating Skanda has the death swarm, the never-ending swarm of man-eating Shikigami that are also invisible. They do not appear until they have already attacked you and they are already on you. So the biggest thing that Chihiro is going to run into is that with no anti-domain measures, the Shikigami are going to just completely swarm him, completely cover him in just teeth and attacks, and just completely eat him alive until there's nothing left of him. And we've
I
already
mean,
seen how like those attacks can really do damage to people in Dagon's domain, like, up against Nanami, up against Maki, up against Naobito. Naobito lost an arm, Nanami lost an eye. However, the one thing that is also aware is that these characters were able to survive, the onslaught of Shikigami and fight the Shikigami off. Again, it's an endless swarm. They're going to keep coming, but you are able to fight off the Shikigami if you're able to survive. And again, we should at the very least, based off of characters like Nanami, characters like Naobito, be able to award a character like Chihiro similar durability to at least be able to. I mean, Nanami was literally covered in Shikigami. He had them all over him, eating him all across the place. So even if Chihiro, we have seen him take damage and take the risk and fight regardless of it. We know Chihiro can fight under extreme pressure. So that isn't going to be the issue. The issue is, will he be able to handle enough of the Shikigami attacks to get to Dagon and land a killing blow? But I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
oh no, the like it's kind of like can he last until Megami gets there to interrupt the sure hit, you know? But I think just because of the way, like, honestly, and I keep bringing it up, but Kuro Shred is just a crazy ability that covers so much space, and he doesn't. It's like very useful for him. Um, I personally still see this going to Chihiro just because like we know how the base fight goes. I think Dagon has no way to win in the base fight. And then when we go in the
Definitely.
domain, we could still make an excuse for Chihiro to get a W in the domain, whereas Dagon, he's that's all he has. That's his last chance. I just feel stronger towards Chihiro.
No, I definitely think that is the case. I think as long as Chihiro can, because the thing is with Nishiki Cloak, that's gonna provide him a huge advantage. Higher advantage than someone like Nanami, someone like Naobito would, simply because again, he's getting a 3 times amplified durability. He's getting 3 times amplified defense up against characters that he's already comparing to in like base. And we already do know that when he was fighting Hirohiko in the theater, he was completely surrounded by Hirohiko's paper everywhere and was able to use Kuro to just completely, as we mentioned, darken the entire room in his slashes. And even though he ended up completely covering himself in scars, he was still able to completely ward off every single attack and also keep all of the innocent people in the area safe with the attack. So I think we have seen Chihiro handle like completely all out, all around attacks like that before. I think, especially like you said, with Kuro Shred, with things like Nishiki Cloak, with even things like Akka, not that Akka can, again, absorb just straight up physical attacks. It mostly is just energy. But there are multiple ways that Chihiro has, especially if we are to say that if Nanami was able to get hit by a man-eating Shikigami, slash one away, and then also be like, hey, Maki, they're all coming after us. They're all invisible. You have to be able to, you know, dodge it, blah, 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 blah. And then he gets hit again, gets hit by a bunch again, still breaks out of that swarm, runs to go help Megami and everything like that after the never-ending hit, the guaranteed hit ends. We know now Bito was able to do like the falling blossom emotion, which isn't similar to Simple Domain. It's literally just someone doing a bunch of small curse energy attacks to like keep up. So
auto defense.
It is. I think if we were to give Chihiro Nishiki Cloak, if we were to give him Kuro Shred, and because of Chihiro's insane intelligence, adaptability, if he can survive one swarm and cut them all off, break free with Nishiki Cloak and run away, and just like kind of like fuck, you know, they're coming at me, they're invisible, this is how they're working, what can I do to go around this? I think Chihiro probably could find a way to keep himself safe at least long enough to damage Dagon and fight Dagon, because the issue is, you know, how much, I guess the issue is how much damage did Chihiro do before the domain? How much curse energy does Dagon have after the domain? Because at least Megami was assuming that if he stopped the domain and they broke out of the domain, Dagon wouldn't have the ability to domain again. So it's assuming that once Dagon domains, he's going to be running on very low cursed energy. So depending on how much damage Chihiro takes in the domain, if he can break Dagon and get him out of his domain, I mean, if Toji was able to do it,
and it kind of feels like blades just in general, like Maki was the only one who had a blade when they fought, you know, base Dagon. And it was really just Naobito putting it. Oh, and Nanami had his blade too. Naobito was the one really putting the hands. You know, in this case, Chihiro's only using a sword. I just, and you know, I was thinking about like Hirohiko in the theater. Like looking at that as kind of like a domain application almost, where he's kind of like a dome, you know, structure that he kind of like enclosed Chihiro in, and he uses you know, Kuro to cover, like we talked about, to cover the paper. I do think that we could make like a headcanon that Chihiro can do the Fallen Blossom Emotion type of defense against short hits, just for short hits like Dagons. I think that that's fair enough to like give it to, in my opinion, for Chihiro.
yeah,
You know, the kind of like a way to deal with that specific domain, but you know, mental, you know, domains that have like a mental, you know, attack the brain or something like that, or make you see stuff or something like that would screw Chihiro over. But this case, I just think Chihiro has it just because of his, you know, stats really, and shred.
I agree. I honestly, I think it's almost similar to the Choso fight, right? Where like there are things that Chihiro is gonna have to worry about in the fight. Primarily, it's mostly just going to be the domain expansion in this case, whereas in Choso's case, it was, you know, the hardened blood and just getting slowed down to the point where Choso might be able to get a definitive attack. But now it really is just Chihiro being able to mostly handle the base fight, and then the domain is just it's just if you believe Chihiro can fight through the domain expansion, which based off of all of the kind of things that we've talked about, I think we've come up with multiple reasons of why he could be able to. But also
And
I could see why it would still be something that would be difficult for Chihiro to do and would probably end up being more difficult than the Choso fight.
yeah, I agree on that. And like those little blood, the origami blood cranes that Hirohiko used was like, it was a fodder guy, but kind of ripped through the torso of one of the henchmen fighting Chihiro. Like it kind of went, and that's when the blow. Or it didn't go straight through him, but those things were doing some significant damage. Hirohiko's crane. So, and I mean, I think if Chihiro was sitting there just tanking all those in the theater, like I think that lends itself to where like he could handle it long enough to take care of Dagon, but he's gonna be feeling it afterwards.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And like I said, I think just off of the merit that characters like Naobito and Nanami were able to survive the endless swarm to a certain degree, at least to continue fighting. I think it should be apparent that Chihiro should be able to do the same, especially with again things like Nishiki Cloak and Kuro Shred that can also help mitigate those the damage significantly, more than it would for Nanami or Naobito. But that being said, moving on to Jogo, the man, the myth, the legend himself, our boy, our patron saint of the channel. The big issue that Jogo is going to provide compared to all of the other disaster curses is not only is he just as elementally sound when it comes to manipulating his curse technique of choice. The problem with Jogo is his element of choice is fire. So like unlike, the water streams or the jet streams of water from Dagon, or unlike the giant tendrils of tree branches and huge structures of wood, all of Jogo's constructs of his curse technique are going to immediately be damaging to Chiro just because of the mere fact that they're burn. It's fire. He's creating
I mean,
plumes of fire. He's creating plumes of lava. The heat is going to
big
be
blast.
insane, and just yeah. So like everything that Jogo does, even if we want to say that Chihiro is going to be able to like dodge it, of course, with the speed, all of that stuff, like if Chihiro does get, grazed or tapped by Jogo, especially what we've seen Jogo's capable of in the anime fight against Sukuna, where it's literally enveloping a huge amount of the city that they're fighting in, Chihiro is going to be, definitely in a lot more danger than he is with Hanami or Dagon. However, I think by the pure nature of fire, I think Akka actually becomes a viable defense finally, as opposed to Dagon or Hanami.
Yeah, and I was even gonna say, like, we know he can absorb elements. So he might be able to absorb water, that just not the fish. I don't know. Uh Back, in the Dagon fight, but if I would say he could Akka the fire, but the thing is, he has to absorb it with the sword, right? The fire is coming at him like 300, 360 degrees. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
Jogo does big blast, and then the domain expansion as well. Um, you know that we know like the heat, just the heat alone. And I mean, Chihiro would be able to handle the heat, of course,
Well, it depends on what
but
kind of heat we're talking about. I mean, this heat was enough to melt glass. If you put
well,
if you put your hero in a room with just the heat, like
I
it's
only say
gonna
that
be
because with
tough.
Yuji, well, I guess Yuji was with Gojo. But I do.
Yeah.
I think just off the top of my head, this would be the first scenario where like I'm just easily go to Jogo as
It's a
the
it's a
W.
tough situation just because obviously the big thing is going to be Chihiro's speed advantage, right? Chihiro is going to
Mhm.
be mountains of times faster than Jogo's going to be. So that's going to be
And
his big claim to fame in this fight, right? Like
Jogo
sure
is
Jogo is going to
faster
go ahead.
than the Jogo's faster than like Dagon and Hanami, but the thing is he's not so much faster that he equalizes to Chihiro,
Not
and
at all.
he's less durable than Hanami.
Significantly less durable than
Yeah,
Hanami.
he would
It's
have
also
died if
go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say he would have died from the black flashes, against that was using Hanami at the Goodwill.
Oh yeah, 110%. Yeah, no. It said in the an extra page, I believe, that Jogo wouldn't have been able to survive maybe one or two black flashes from Yuji. Jogo is
Mhm.
a huge downgrade when it comes to durability, when it comes to longevity, when it comes to endurance and things like that, which is going to be a big benefit for Chihiro in this fight, because if Chihiro is just monumentally faster than Jogo, then Chihiro is going to be able to apply attacks like Kuroi Shred. He's going to be able to use the Nishiki Cloak and also absorb and counter attacks from Jogo with Akka much more efficiently than he would be able to handle characters that are moving at his own speed. Now,
I mean,
obviously, as we mentioned before, go ahead.
oh, no, I was saying, Jogo also has those little flying insects that he uses that, like, they do notable damage. And
Definitely.
he has those little volcanoes that he sprouts. He can just basically make it to where he's covering the terrain in fire. Like he's attacking, doing big attacks, like all over the place. He can attack you from multiple directions. And I think that that's what's screwing Chihiro up. Like I don't think Shred is going to be as useful in this fight as the other ones because I mean Dagon could just envelop the area in like heat.
No. Oh, what? Hello?
Hello? Yeah, I
Oh,
think my internet was tripping.
yeah, it sounded like he cut out.
Damn, you have bad luck with guests coming on with bad internet,
It is what it is.
huh?
But yeah, no, I completely agree. Where I think the area of effect attacks from Jogo are going to be the biggest problem for Chihiro because, like I was saying, Chihiro can definitely, he has the speed, he has the reflexes, and he has the durability to, tank and Akka one huge lava plume from Jogo. He has the speed and the reflexes with his sword to cut down a bunch of the ember insects that are coming his way, cut them, and then move out of the way before they explode. Right. A lot of those tactics aren't going to be the big issue for Chihiro. What's going to be the big issue for Chihiro is going to be what we've seen, Jogo, where he can literally envelop an entire city block in lava and then just have all of the lava kind of like a tidal wave, almost similar to the Choso blood tidal wave, where he has all the lava
Ye-
kind of go all around Chihiro all at once, or he's firing all of the different ember insects and having all of these attacks all go at once, right? So Chihiro is going to be completely enveloped in all these different attacks that, again, heat, fire, all of these different what makes Jogo so much more dangerous than characters like Dagon and Hanami is the fact, like I said, again, the very nature of his attacks just on contact are going to be dangerous for Chihiro. Sure, if Chihiro Akka's one lava plume in front of him, he might be able to absorb that, but if part of that heat or part of that fire, part of those fire strokes hit his leg or hit his arm, he can get severe damaging burns that are going to slow down his pace and affect him throughout the course of the fight. And again, sure, we have said that Jogo is significantly less durable than someone like Hanami, someone like Dagon. He is going to be much more susceptible to getting Kuroi hit or Kuroi Shred surrounded and then destroyed and taken down in one hit. It's much more feasible to do with someone like Jogo than it is
yeah.
for Hanami or Dagon. However, the problem is Goldfish. It seems like a lot of Chihiro's attacks are probably going to be able to be matched, if not completely overwhelmed, by Jogo's fire, because this is going to be one of the first characters that is probably able to surpass, if not just completely outright exceed, Chihiro's attack potency. Nishiki
Yeah.
Cloak might give him a little bit of an advantage and be able to help him keep pace, but Jogo's Meteor, all of Jogo's fire attacks, Jogo should, for all intents and purposes, be able to output much more attack potency than Chihiro can, which is also going to be a big, big problem. Chihiro needs to rely heavily on his speed in this fight, and unfortunately, just with the way that Jogo fights, his speed just might not be enough to keep him safe entirely. And if he can't land any of those critical attacks on Jogo, because what Jogo also has is Jogo can fly. Dagon can
Yeah.
fly a little bit. Hanami can also, keep himself up in the air with Hanami can keep himself up in the air with the trees and the branches, but Jogo can really just levitate and fly, which gives him a level of agility that most of the other characters on this list haven't had yet.
Yeah, and I think like in my head, instead of because Kuro Shred, like even thinking about the domain, right? The like those fish probably won't be able to stay active in that environment.
Not at all.
But if Chihiro can get, close enough and a good enough hit to just do one big Kuro slash like he does on, that entire group, that I mean, that might be, do it. But I just see like because of the AoE and like he even uses like the lava and controls it with like as hands in the anime. So, like
Yeah.
his like manipulation is like insane.
And I also want to stress too that like the thing is that we also have to remember is that like Jogo is surviving full on like getting fucking thrown through entire buildings and launched through. Yeah, he survives a red. He gets literally taken by the head and shoved through like multiple stories of a building, and then that building fucking explodes by Sukuna and has his jaw like ripped off. And this is going to be one thing too where like Jogo's and just the curse spirits regeneration and ability to resurrect themselves and revive themselves with cursed energy. And again, sure, Jogo's less durable than Hanami. He's not going to be able to take as much damage, but I also want to stress enough that it is completely possible that even if Chihiro gets one good Kuroi shred, or even let's say Chihiro is able to Akka one of Jogo's fire blasts, and he even gets like a good redirect counterattack and like mirror forces a fire blast through Jogo's chest. Like there is still a pretty decent chance that Chihiro might not be able to cut the damage threshold, and Jogo can heal. And if and again, it's kind of like a 50-50 because while Chihiro is close to Jogo in power level, again, it's kind of like, is Nishiki Cloak enough to make up that difference? If it is, then
That
sure,
matchup.
Chihiro can win. If Nishiki Cloak isn't enough to make up that difference, Jogo survives what might have been Chihiro's one chance at, getting one over, and then Jogo just fucking burns Chihiro after Chihiro is completely exhausted. Like, this is a battle of attrition that Chihiro does not have as many odds of winning as he would against, like, Hanami,
Yeah, no, I agree. I just think it's a bad matchup for Chihiro,
Completely bad matchup entirely. And then we
even
haven't even
the
talked
AI
about
white parry
Domain either.
style.
We haven't even
Oh
talked
yeah,
about Domain.
exactly like the domain. He's dropping a meteor on him while he's trying to like deal with all the lava. He's a swordsman. He can't fly, so his like movement is based on his footing. It's if he has nowhere to like really set because the entire landscape is almost in lava. I mean, I just think Jogo is just a bad matchup. But I do agree that they're close in terms of like just power level. I do agree on that, but it's just Jogo has so much at his like disposal, and it is crazy to think he tanked a red, but he would have died to Yuji's Black Flashes and Goodwill. Shows you how crazy Black Flash is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the power of 2.5 is no joke. But
Especially from Yuji.
yeah. But yeah, I completely go ahead.
I was about to say if we give Chihiro, like what can we do to like we would have to give him something in order to deal. I mean, we both agree that Jogo's got it. It's gonna be an L for Chihiro here.
Completely.
But like, do you think like the inclusion of like Hakuri to where he can like basically, he can control the storehouse, so he may be able to deal with the lava and the fire.
Nah, I wouldn't really want to. Well, I wouldn't want to do that for him. But also, I don't know if even that would be enough because, like you said, like the meteor is almost destroys multiple city blocks, and maybe they might be able to escape. But the domain is really just an instant end. Whether I guess Sakori might be able to get Chihiro out of the domain, but Chihiro having to escape is not a viable option. I think it's pretty definitely safe to say that that Jogo is going to be one of the first curses that definitely definitely beats Chihiro. And I just don't. It's kind of tough for me to even imagine any really kind of win con besides like again like
Yeah.
Chihiro getting really pushed to the absolute brink and somehow coming out on the at the very end with some, like I said, like crazy Aka counter, or like he laid a trap like somewhere through the battle with his high intelligence, or he was able to strategize or come up with a completely new, Koroi or Nishiki or whatever
Yeah,
tactic, even if like he used Nishiki cloak to use the 3 times multiplier durability and do his best to survive the burn damage and all of the attacks that Jogo's doing, or even let's say he gets caught in Jogo's domain and he uses the Nishiki cloak to survive the heat of Jogo's domain and fight Jogo inside of the domain where Jogo has the advantage. I think Jogo's again, his nature of the curse technique he uses gives him way too much in nature of offense, defense, everything at his disposal. He just has like you said, it's a bad matchup. The
yeah,
fire is just way too much of a problem for Chihiro to deal with. Even whether speed is equalized or not, even with Chihiro's speed difference, if we gave him the full amount of stats that he's supposed to have, I think Jogo still takes this.
yeah. It's like Chihiro wouldn't be able to end it with that speed, with that speed gap. He still can't like just end it decisively. Whereas Jogo can still catch him, just with his like AoE and all that. And we haven't, Chihiro fought against the Flame Bone, but we didn't get to see a whole lot dealing with fire. And also to note though that Flame Bone was restricted, so he wasn't even fighting the full Flame Bone. So it would have been fun to see like that fight, like a full like powered Hiyuki. But yeah, what do you? So I mean, now let me ask you: are you gonna go mid diff L, or are you going? What you thinking?
Um, it's honestly like I feel weird doing like a low diff L, but like I feel like Jogo takes this pretty easily. No, to be honest with you, like I don't even know if we were able to like come up with a decent win con that's
Yeah,
like,
we had
yeah,
to create a scenario in order for Chihiro to get the win.
yeah.
Whereas it wasn't like decisive. I agree on that.
I just don't. I think where I think Chihiro would be interesting to Jogo, just because again, Chihiro has the speed advantage. Chihiro would move very fast. Nishiki cloak might give him the edge in surviving longer than usual. It gives me enough to like be like, okay, Chihiro would still be able to fight back, right? Like it wouldn't be like Jogo shows up instantly, fucking murks Chihiro. The game is done. But it's almost like everything that Chihiro does, it doesn't really have much to do. It just all it does is make him survive longer, as opposed to give him a good chance of actually kind of winning. Um, and again, I think Chihiro has the speed and tactical ability to cut off Jogo's head before he takes a lot of damage from the flames, which release the hounds. I completely agree with you. The tough part is with the curse spirits just being made of curse energy and just being able to regenerate any kind of wound like that. Even if Chihiro gets like a decapitation, Jogo can just come back, and then Chihiro's completely vulnerable to any kind of domain or a crazy attack that Jogo wants to do. So I think mid diff makes the most sense.
Yeah, that's where I was leaning.
Yeah, I think that's just
And like he had his head ripped off against Gojo, and it did take him a while to regrow it, but that's also because he used a domain. He got hit with a red. Gojo was styling on him for a minute, like he was taking a beating and then got his head ripped off. Plus the domain, wears him out.
exactly.
And
It's like,
Chihiro's
yeah,
not doing that kind of damage to
I
him.
think just like it's just a bad matchup. It really is just a bad matchup. There's really nothing else to say. Um, but that, and I think we might honestly run into the same kind of like bad matchup skit when it comes to Mahito, who is next. Which a lot of people have even been talking about in the chat while we've been kind of going through this gauntlet almost. Because you could argue, I guess, that, spirit energy is of the soul. So sure, spirit energy might be able to harm Mahito. That's kind of tough to say. Whereas
Chihiro
like,
has the eyes.
true.
Yeah.
I mean, he does. Yeah, I guess if you want to compare his eyes to like something like Maki's, where like it might be able to witness the soul, but like I find that tough to believe. I think like it's very different from like an argument where like a Deku or like a Tanjiro You know what I mean? Where like Tanjiro has the
Yeah,
transparent world. He's actually able to see through people. He's able to witness his people's like innermost, muscle. Like that makes a lot more sense. You also have like, Deku, who Deku literally has one for all. He has the multiple different quirk users inside of him that almost very similar to Yuji and Sukuna. Yuji's able to, fight Mahito because he has the Sukuna's soul inside of him. So he's subconsciously aware of, the outline of people's souls. Like characters like
that's what.
Deku, Tanjiro, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, there's an end canon like universe reason as for them to be able to see beyond like the regular like everyone else's perception. Maybe if this was Bleach, and it's like the swords have true souls,
True.
but that's not the case here.
Yeah,
Um,
that's really where it comes down to is like, yeah, Chihiro has his very perceptive eyes, as we mentioned before, where he's able to like pick things up and notice like small, minute details that other people aren't, which I can see how like you could kind of put that to be somewhat similar to something like, Toji and Maki's extrasensory, where it's kind of like, it's kind of like where their extrasensory is almost similar to like Tanjiro's like smell, right? Where like they're just all their eyes are always leading them to the best possible acrobatic feat. Their eyes are always leading them to the
yeah,
best possible critical hit point. Um,
you know, I just it's kind of I guess in this one it's like he would have to wear Mahito out to where he just doesn't have any more cursed energy. But we saw what Mahito is capable of, you know, like in
yeah,
terms of like a long period of time of using his curse technique, like he has to use his curse technique, throughout the entire thing. He's always using it, and I just don't. I just
yeah.
think Mahito's got it because the domain's another issue, because his domain isn't like where the fish just pop up on you. You're in the palm of his hands automatically.
Literally, literally. First, real quick, thank you so much, Loud, for the 10 gifted members. Appreciate that love and support. That means the world to me. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And sleeping underdog said Chihiro talked to Cloud Gouger. I mean, I'm sure dudes be talking to their swords, but they don't talk back.
Yeah, I
You
would
know,
argue like I could see like where you'd be like, oh, the true realm and being able to connect with their swords on like that kind of level. I could kind of see the argument that you're making.
yeah.
I kind of get it. And I wouldn't even hold you for making that argument, but I don't it's not enough
At
for
this
me.
point,
It's not enough
yeah.
for me to give him like an edge against Mahito. What I
We
will
need
say
Shikoku. We need to release the Shikoku files, and then at that point, I think that'll be enough.
what I will say is I completely agree where like the one thing Mahito has is even if you wanted to say that like Mahito wasn't able or like Chihiro was able to hurt Mahito because let's say we give him the eyes that are aware of the soul or we give him the true realm actually unlocks the ability to attack Mahito's soul. The thing that a lot of people the thing that I realized a lot in versus battles is just because that person is aware of the soul and can harm Mahito does not mean they have the same advantages as Yuji does in a fight against Mahito, because Yuji is completely nullified to Mahito's idle transfiguration thanks to Sukuna. Whereas someone like
True.
Maki or Toji, that's just because they're aware of Mahito's soul, they should be able to hit the soul. Maki and Toji is actually a bad example because I would make an argument against that. I guess either way, like
I know what
Chihiro,
you're saying.
even
It's
if
like they
Chihiro
can
can
attack Mahito, but they don't have that like extra layer of defense that's
they
like Sukuna on the
exactly they don't
inside.
have the defense against idle
They're
transfiguration, so
susceptible.
they would be all it takes is one touch from Mahito for Chihiro to just literally be ended and be done,
I
which
guess
is
the
gonna
only
be one.
thing
Go ahead.
I'll say the only thing like that you could like really wag the hell out of is she. I mean, and this wouldn't even really work for Idol Transfiguration, but I was gonna bring up that when Chihiro got captured by that trauma sorcerer, where he just makes you relive like a traumatic event.
Hmm.
Chihiro was able to snap out of it when he shouldn't have been, But like that's more of a mental thing than a soul thing.
Definitely, definitely. Hey, Roses, thank you for the $2. Appreciate the work. Say keep up the work, bro. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You keep up the work in your everyday life. Um,
Yeah, even if
but
Chihiro can touch Mahito, he still can't beat Mahito. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's one of the biggest things is like, and it's also one of the biggest things that anyone's going to run into when they're fighting Mahito. Especially you even saw it when Nanami fought him in the very beginning of the series. Like, even though Nanami was able to put up a really good fight, Nanami's this very strong grade 1 curse. He was able to keep up with Mahito in speed, keep up with Mahito in just combat ability and everything. All it takes is one small touch from Mahito and you're cooked. And the problem with Chihiro compared to someone like Nanami, Nanami was able to, even if it was subconsciously, he was able to defend his soul with his cursed energy. I would struggle awarding Chihiro the same kind of, benefit against Idol Transfiguration. But even if you wanted to say that Nishiki Cloak would help him kind of defend against Idol Transfiguration, we've seen someone like Nobara be only able to take one hit. So, and Mahito, even after touching Nanami, says it's only going to take one or two more of those and you're cooked. So there's
And
not really any kind of defense that Chihiro is going to be able to use to be able to stop Mahito from one tapping him any chance he has. So in any kind of close quarters situation that Chihiro is going to be fighting base Mahito in, it's very much different from Jogo, where Jogo was like an AOE merchant. He was able to summon lava plumes, 360 degrees all around Chihiro and cover him in attacks. What makes Mahito dangerous and tough to deal with is the fact that he is just one of the craziest shapeshifters. He's able to split himself up into different clones. He's able to create duplicates of himself. He's able to, just split his body in half and then have the separate halves of his body change into different blades or different arms or multiple different fingers, and like literally, and just like, again, it just takes one finger tap to just Idol Transfiguration Chihiro and end the fight, which is going to be, in my opinion, what makes even not including domain expansion, because obviously domain expansion, self-embodiment of perfection, as you mentioned before, Chihiro's instantly in Mahito's hands, and with no simple domain, the Kuroi Shred, the Nishiki Cloak, all that stuff we gave for like a technical chance, surviving Dagon's domain goes out of the water entirely. There's really the biggest factor in this fight is Idol Transfiguration, and the mere fact that Mahito is able to coat entire multiple city blocks in his flesh, create polymorphic soul isomers that can fight Chihiro and fight Todo on somewhat equal ground. Like, Chihiro, want to talk about a bad matchup against Jogo. This is the worst possible matchup Chihiro could have, probably in this entire video and stream.
And he has instant spirit body distorted killing, which Yuji had to hit a black flash in order to damage.
Literally couldn't even damage, yeah.
Couldn't affect him. And we're saying Chihiro's relative to that Yuji, even say he's a little bit above, like that. I mean, it's just so many things that you could put in like Mahito's favor. As you said as well, like with the splitting up, Chihiro is susceptible to getting slashed, like slash attacks. You know what I mean? And we've seen him turn his arms into blades, and it's just so the variety he has to deal with Mahito, aside from the domain, is ridiculous. But I think it easily, that's a low diff.
Without a doubt, without a doubt, it's just the mere fact that we're not even sure if Chihiro can do damage to Mahito, even without instant spirit body of distorted killing, even just base Mahito. Chihiro could slash right through Mahito, and Mahito goes, "Oh, just kidding!" Splits his body at top in half, and then again, one touch. One touch is all it takes. Even if you want to say Nishiki Cloak acts as a defense against Idol Transfiguration, 2-3 touches is all it takes. And sure, you give Chihiro the speed advantage, right? Chihiro is significantly faster than Lightning. Chihiro is speed blitzing Mahito every sense of the way. Again, the fact that Mahito has such extreme range, he can duplicate himself, he can create the polymorphic soul isomers, he can do soul multiplicity and create a giant burst of 2 souls that just coat entire areas. He can do he is Jogo's AoE, but even worse, because while Chihiro could, survive a graze of a burn pillar or survive, a lava plume, maybe, if you want to say Jogo didn't put enough output behind it. Again, Idle Transfiguration is an instant win con even outside of domain expansion. All Mahito
Yeah.
needs to do is land one hit. And the problem is if Chihiro can't do damage or hit Mahito's soul, Chihiro can run circles around Mahito all he wants, Kuroi shred Mahito all he wants. Mahito is taking no damage whatsoever. And again, in a battle of attrition where, sure, you could say that, oh, Chihiro could just wear Mahito down of Curse Energy. Again, Chihiro, even with the speed advantage, is going to eventually end up getting touched by Mahito. Even if it ends up, let's say, Mahito has to coat the entire battlefield in flesh, and then literally one step from Chihiro onto the ground, and he's touching a piece of Mahito, and Mahito can just idle transfiguration through there. Like, whether it's a laid trap or it's just an accidental graze, there's just no shot in hell Chihiro stands a chance. Exactly. And even if Chihiro does stand a chance, domain expansion ruins any chance that might have been. This is the purest definition of low diff.
Yeah, if you have to give Chihiro, even if you give him, all right, so he has the speed, sure, that's for sure, but can he touch Mahito? Can he damage Mahito? That there's always an asterisk to everything that Chihiro can do to Mahito. There's an asterisk about it. Oh, he can touch Chihiro. All right, instant spirit body, a distorted killing. You know what I mean? There's just always something that a roadblock in front of Chihiro here.
Literally. And it's interesting because I know a lot of people were saying that Chihiro clears the disaster curses absolutely no problem. But I think it's pretty clear here that you've got Dagon at a high diff W. Hanami is a 50-50. It really just depends on how the fight goes. Jogo is a mid diff and Mahito's a low diff. So yeah, no, it doesn't look like Chihiro kind of goes through the disaster curses as easily as people thought. Even if you wanted to, again, give Chihiro his speed advantage, give him Nishiki Cloak, give him really everything at his disposal he can. It's just, it really is. And you could even say it's not even because of domain, right? Because I know a lot of people will be like, oh, well, domain gives JJK characters, handicaps out of their verse, which I would agree with. I definitely think domain is a very OP, ability to have. A guaranteed one hit technique is definitely ridiculous when it comes to crossverse, but Jogo and Mahito have win cons even outside of their domains, which I think just make the fight so much easier to designate as mid or low diff, because it's if Chihiro's struggling with base, the domain is just an instant easy argument winner.
Yeah, and we even tried to lend the argument for Chihiro to essentially use Nishiki or Kuro Shred as Falling Blossom Emotion. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, but against domains like Jogo and Mahito,
it's not going to help you.
It just doesn't. Against certain domains, it's just not going to be not going to be viable at all.
Like JJK, it's matchup based. Certain people do well against others.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of matchup base, I guess this is probably the matchup of the century here before we get into Kenjaku, because I think Kenjaku honestly might just be probably another low diff, mid diff, just based off of everything that he's capable of. But maybe not as bad as Mahito, but just in different ways. But Toji, I'm interested to hear what your thoughts would be on Toji, because I guess Toji, I would probably say attack potency, just striking strength wise, probably is higher than Chihiro. But speed, they're probably a little bit closer. Chihiro probably does outspeed Toji though. But Toji's probably the closest in speed to Chihiro we've gotten so far.
What does Toji have in his bag?
Well, it's Shibuya Toji, so we'll give him is it Playful Cloud?
Yeah, Playful Cloudy, the one he used against Dagon.
And he's also got the body that basically just goes on forever. So if it becomes a battle of attrition, then Toji wins by default because he goes on forever.
Yeah, you have to kill him.
Yes.
Oh, this is a good one. I was thinking, man, Toji's bag that he had against Gojo, with the never-ending chain and all that was pretty good. But I guess how's Toji gonna deal with? Because he'll tank the shred, the Kuro Shred. Excuse me.
Yeah, he's just gonna be.
Like
It's kind
he'll
of similar to
yeah,
Dagon. He's gonna be fighting through the goldfish. He's probably gonna be fast enough to, with this extra sensory. He's probably gonna be able to, know when
good
like a
point.
Koroi is coming, where he's gonna be able to pinpoint the goldfish and probably stay out of their way. Again, Chihiro's probably gonna be a little bit faster than Toji, so keep that in mind. Toji might be outsped a little bit, but it's not gonna be as much of a defining factor as like the other fights. So I
Yeah,
guess it
I think it's
ultimately comes
Toji.
down to who you think can do more damage to the other in a faster amount of time. And
But
I do think Toji's more ruthless. I think things like Kuroi Shred, things like Kuroi, and like especially like Nishiki Cloak with the 3 times amp, they do give Chihiro a little bit of like a long range advantage, more than Toji would with just Playful Cloud, right?
yeah, I mean, Playful Cloud works to Toji's advantage as well. That's the one like cursed tool where they don't have to pour cursed energy into it. It just basically multiplies off the user's ability. So I mean, Toji's, he's packing a punch. I mean, I think I got Toji high diff just off the thinking in this particular scenario. I just think Toji's gonna. They'll both be able to withstand the damage, and I just think since he's basically just a killing machine at this point, like a zombie,
Hmm.
I think Toji just takes it. I think they're both gonna wind each other out. Like I think it's gonna be like a long-winded fight.
Yeah, and
Like
I could
Toji's a
definitely see Toji doing some much more crippling damage. Like one hit from Toji is definitely going to be
eh,
packing way more of a punch than like one
mhm,
slash or like one Kuroi hit from like
yeah.
Chihiro.
Every swing of that playful cloud is gonna be, wallop. It's gonna like he hits him in the leg with that, like gets a knee shot, then Chihiro's like movement's done.
Yeah,
I just
I think I agree with you where I think it would be like a high diff L. Like Toji, it definitely wouldn't be an easy fight for Toji by any means. Right? It
correct.
would
I
definitely be tough. And
agree.
I think it becomes tough because again, Chihiro has like that long range kind of like advantage where even though Kuroi Shred might not do too much damage, like a goldfish popping, 3 or 4 goldfish popping right on Toji's head, while Chihiro's able to escape or Chihiro's able to launch like Kuroi slashes, from while he's kind of like on the back foot running away from Toji. And Toji just kind of has his only attempt at actually hurting Chihiro is to get up close and personal. Like I think, especially with Chihiro's little bit of speed advantage, I think it is a very tough fight for Toji. But again, like the durability difference, like Toji definitely has much higher durability. I mean, Toji is like good, like just based off of if we were to take the fact that Toji and Maki are just anywhere similar to stat wise, like this is a Toji that's tanking multiple dismantles,
Two black
multiple black
flashes.
flashes from Sukuna. Like this guy is clearly going to be outweighing Chihiro in durability and also attack
Good point.
potency. So again, I think
The way the
high
fight
diff
works,
Toji for sure.
and like his danger sense, right? Essentially
Exactly.
that's a huge plus. It comes down to
It's almost
Chihiro
basically
has to
precog for Toji. So like he's gonna be
yeah.
even that speed difference. Still gonna have the senses to kind of make up for that speed difference. And again, that speed difference is gonna
Maki
be small.
dodging Maki dodging Sukuna and 252. Like, even if you want to argue World Cut and Slash or not, whether this, that, or the other, I mean, just being able to dodge in that scenario is pretty, like, crazy. And plus, like, I think the fight just works in a scenario where it's just about when Toji catches Chihiro. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
Chihiro's going to do his thing, but once Toji catches him that one good time with the Playful Cloud, I'm not saying that's going to be the end of it, but it's going to be a considerable, blow
yeah.
to like
All it
affect
takes
Chihiro
is
going
one
for
broken leg, one broken arm to severely throw Chihiro off of his game, and he loses whatever handicap he had instantly. And again, small handicap. So like again, one broken leg is gonna immediately ruin that speed advantage. And then it's kind of similar to Choso, right? But it's almost like on a higher level where, sure, Choso's poison blood might exhaust Chihiro throughout the battle, and the blood weighing on his clothes might slow Chihiro down, but Toji getting one hit, and the one thing that I always love to award Toji to is Toji is so ruthless in his hits. Toji doesn't waste an attack. If Toji is hitting you with something, it's going to have the lethality to kill, and if it doesn't, it's going to critically injure you severely. Every single
Yeah.
attack that Toji lands in the manga and anime, you can check it now, is like a hit that is going to hurt you. Like Toji's not, again, I don't know how to stress. Toji is hitting you. If Toji's hitting you,
assassin.
it's intended to kill you, and if it doesn't kill you, it's going to accomplish a huge. Chihiro's leaving with, if Chihiro's hit once by Toji, it's immediately going to affect him, whether that is a speed disadvantage, a stamina disadvantage, again, a broken leg, a broken limb, broken ribs, wherever he gets hit. Like it's going to significantly change the tides of the fight, and that's all Toji needs.
Yeah, Toji, and like Toji, he plays to win, right? He's not afraid to do this, that, or the other. There's no like underhanded tactics. You know what I mean? He's an assassin. That's his job is to kill. So he's going for the kill every time, like you said.
Yep. And Sorcerer Killer, again, also now that, since you say that, it also makes me consider like one of the big things that Toji's going to have over Chihiro is just going to be overall experience. Like Chihiro being a freestyle king, again, love him for it. Toji being the Sorcerer Killer who was intelligent enough, just smart enough, and just strategic enough to exhaust Gojo and come up with the perfect way to kill the strongest sorcerer, and like probably would have been able to survive if he didn't have the pride that he would want to fight the strongest sorcerer. You know what I mean? Like he is someone that, you know, Chihiro is smart. Chihiro is an, you know, intelligent genius, a battle genius. He's so adaptable. He's so versatile. He comes up with moves on the fly. That's great. But Toji is almost like Chihiro's brain, but times 2. Toji is like Chihiro, but like if Chihiro hits the age of 28, like I imagine like he will be very similar to where Toji is now, right? Like,
and thinking Chihiro, like a lot of the fights Chihiro has, or his big fights, are against people who are also like learning something along in the fight. Like Sojo had to learn to synchronize with Mei.
Good point. That's a very good point.
You know, like Hirohiko is like developing at an alarming rate along with Chihiro, but like Toji, he's not looking to steal his sword or capture him or any. Toji's just looking to straight up kill him. You know.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you.
Experience is valuable. Like, especially, I mean, Hirohiko, like he's a wild beast and he's been fighting for his life, but you know, Toji's got years on him of doing that.
Yeah, Toji literally grinded fucking Playful Cloud down to sharpen it because he didn't have, because it wasn't gonna be able to kill Dagon. We
talked about that, the blunt strike versus a slash or like a sharp. You know what I mean? That was a good. Toji saw that. He was like, you know, adverse to in like killing to know like, oh, this isn't going to do the damage. I just need to like some sharp.
Literally. So yeah, I think it's clear that while it would be a very close fight, I think these characters are definitely would be able to give each other a run for their money. I think Toji just has very fun to watch. I think Toji just has the edge here for multiple reasons. And then
he's getting sushi from them fish. He's taking Chihiro's fish and he's having free sushi.
Yeah, I could see Toji pulling a thing where Toji literally like steals Enten from Chihiro mid fight and just starts like maybe not using the abilities, but like Toji's that dirty, you know, like Toji's gonna be like, oh, this is an interesting weapon. Let me just take it from you real quick. Maybe let me abandon Playful Cloud. And then it's just funny. Chihiro with the Wakizashi fighting against Toji using the Enten, or like either way, like Toji stealing Chihiro's Wakizashi. Like Toji is gonna do whatever he needs to win this fight, and I think when it comes to just raw versus raw, I think Toji just wins in the aura department. At least right now. This might change. This discussion might be different, you know, when we get to, like the end of Kagurabachi. But right now,
Kagurabachi seems like it could take a huge jump. At any moment, depending on like the synchronization thing, like that we know the Master Swordsman's like crazy strong because you know they got to do all this plotting just to get rid of him. Hiyuki too. Hiyuki's crazy strong. So I mean, it's just to see like you know, like you mentioned, the end of the series where Chihiro ends up.
Definitely. And I think, obviously, we have made it clear that, Chihiro does not survive the Shibuya incident. He would actually make it pretty damn far, believe it or not. He'd be able to take out, if we were to say that, if we were to give, put the generosity in Chihiro's court, say that he wins that 50-50 coin toss with Hanami. He takes out Hanami, Dagon, Choso, the smallpox curse, Grasshopper, and he really only encounters characters that he can't win against when he reaches Jogo, Mahito, and Toji. And even then, having Toji as a high diff L on your resume, I don't think is a bad thing for an anime MC, especially a 70 chapter manga MC.
Yeah, I was saying at
right?
that point in the story, because like even Maki, there's like arguments to put Maki somewhere, at the bottom of top 10, like at the end of the series.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you're thinking like this Toji, in theory, like isn't the exact Toji, but has to be comparable to that Maki in some sense.
So I guess my question would be is what kind of diff L do you think Kenjaku would be? I guess at the end of this, because obviously Chihiro would never make it to Kenjaku. It wouldn't be the case. But if Chihiro was to wander upon Kenjaku and Kenjaku was like, you know what? Like, let me pity you. Let's fight. Let's see what happens. Like, I think overall, like, obviously, I think Chihiro, if Chihiro's able to mid-diff W Choso, I would think that Chihiro might even be able to kind of blitz through some of Kenjaku's curse spirits and like the curse spirit manipulation half of the fight, depending on if there's any special grades, like the Ganesha curse and the one he summons against Takaba probably are going to be a big issue for Chihiro. But like, I think Chihiro has the skills to even like potentially make Kenjaku use a gravity, but I might be wrong. Maybe I'm giving Chihiro way too much clout here.
I mean, we've seen Yuki like blitz, like essentially and punch through Kenjaku's arm and send him flying, but Kenjaku has RCT, so, and he wasn't really sweating off that either. I mean, his domain's like crazy because there's no barrier to it.
Yeah, the domain is, I definitely think Kenjaku wins here for sure. Kenjaku's got the domain, the gravity, even just even the base gravity alone would probably be a lot for Chihiro to deal with, probably too much. Kenjaku's also a demon when it comes to, Kenjaku's also a demon when it comes to hand too. So like Kenjaku's no stranger to close quarters combat. He's going to be able to keep up with Chihiro no problem when it comes to that. And I think, like I said, curse manipulation winded up in all the combos is going to make it pretty tough. But I don't think curse spirit manipulation is where Chihiro runs into the issue. I think, unless we're talking, he summons a special grade curse spirit.
But he in character, he is not afraid to just pull out a monster. He also has that curse, I forget what the fish. He has his own fish, the one that creates that big hole and makes you feel like you're falling through.
Yes.
So he could just eliminate, Chihiro's footing like off rip without even like, just to start the fight.
Yeah, there's just way too much that Kenjaku has at his disposal. There's just way too much. And Kenjaku would just play with him, toy with him.
Chihiro could get off just a regular Kuro slash, like long distance slash, and basically just take his head.
Which is funny to me because like it's funny to me because I would imagine that depending on how that Kuroi slash lands, like that might even be something that Kenjaku is able to like
spin into.
Yeah, Kenjaku would. I feel like even with the speed advantage, Kenjaku would be able to find a way around that reverse curse technique, especially with the brain. I'm even surprised. Like we also know that even with Yuta appearing and getting Boogie Woogie directly behind Kenjaku was still, even being distracted by Takaba, he was still able to activate anti-gravity like in pure reaction. So like, who's to say that like a Kuroi, Chihiro's able to get one off and it comes close, but if it really gets that close to death, Kenjaku just gravity forces the Kuroi to the ground. Who knows if that's even possible, but
and this is also like top 3, you could argue top 4 strongest character in JJK.
Literally,
So it's like we're trying to like extend like that's. I don't think the speed difference in his bag is like bridges the that power gap in between them.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
I think Chihiro is able to fight a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for? Not
earnestly.
easily, but he's able to actually hold himself in battle a little bit better compared to like someone like Joga or Mahito, just because Kenjaku's not just like
All right,
on
I got
contact
one
as
for you.
dangerous. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
How Choso looked fighting Kenjaku. Do you think Chihiro's looking better than Choso did, or worse than Choso, or similar or worse?
Wow.
That's a good median to. Because
Yeah.
Choso was getting styled on, but he still made him use it took all that for him to use gravity. And I think if we're thinking that he's just the same as Choso, then it's
Well, you
no
also
diff.
have to remember too, right? Kenjaku was also like not expecting much of Choso at the same time. Like, if
True. The
Kenjaku
parental
really was
thing was
taking
playing.
Choso seriously, like he would have also summoned the Ganesha curse and on like
Geez, yep.
as soon as he does when Yuki shows up, right? Like when Yuki shows up, he goes, "Oh, okay, you're gonna have to take this a little bit more seriously," and then immediately summons the special grade, Ganesha curse. Whereas with Choso, he's kind of like "Hey man, like I literally just have to use grade 2 curse spirits with a little bit of cursed energy power up, and I can just fucking no diff you."
But Noop, it's gonna be a revelation that Kenjaku was actually Kunoshige's wife.
Okay, yeah, that would be what a crazy crossover though. That would actually be
Yeah.
insane.
Oh my god, the Kunoshige back shots.
But like actually, you know what? Now that you've made me think about that and think about how like Kenjaku was kind of like low diffing Choso with like grade 2 spirits, I have to imagine that yeah, Kenjaku if actually wanted to like if Jiro was actually worth Kenjaku taking seriously, it's not going to be a problem for him, and it's honestly even debatable. Like maybe Kenjaku's using empowered grade 1 spirits, right? Like, or like maybe he's
Yeah.
like, hey, here's the Ganesha curse. Handle this, big shot. You took out Hanami Dagon. That's interesting. Let's see how you handle this. And then the Ganesha curse removes all obstacles. Chihiro starts floating up in the air, and then like he pops like a pimple, and then like Kenjaku's like, oh, well,
He could
I might
just
have done
use
a little too much there.
he could have just used the what he used against Yuji. Essentially, he could use the centipedes and that fish curse
Yeah,
that had
like you
makes him
said.
fall, and that's enough. That literally is enough.
Yeah,
I don't think he's not even breaking a sweat.
not at all.
But
Because
I
the
mean,
tough
to
part is,
Chihiro's like argue,
go
it's
ahead.
not fair. I mean, Chihiro's like 70 chapters in his own story,
Of course, of course. I
and then
mean, I
so
just
like
think I don't think
yeah,
Chihiro's
he's
gonna be able to come up with the same kind of force that Yuki kicked the fucking Ganesha curse with,
agree,
like just
agree.
nowhere near close to it, even with Nishiki cloak. So if he's not able to compare with someone like Yuki, then there's no chance in hell he's gonna be even standing on the same playing field as someone like Kenjaku. It's a pretty
Yeah,
obvious low diff. Just but
he
for a
should get
very different
embarrassed.
reason. Um,
Yes, I mean it's a top three, top four in the verse, power, level wise. So if it'd be, I mean, I guess it depends on the verse to verse like comparison, of course. But Chihiro at this point just doesn't have it in him to you know do anything to Kenjaku at least.
not at
I mean,
all.
it's nothing against Chihiro either. She shouldn't, Chihiro fans shouldn't feel bad about that because, like I said, Kenjaku's crazy strong.
Literally, literally, and like I said, for the fact that like he's already 7 chapters in, and technically speaking, he's got a pretty good shot at beating 2 of the disaster curses and getting and putting up a high diff loss to Toji. Yeah, that's pretty good. Someone asked, what about Sukuna, or what about, I know someone asked even in the very beginning of the video, like what about Maharaga? I just don't. It's just not even worth discussing, because it's pretty much just gonna be the same
Yeah,
thing as this Kenjaku,
Haruta. He's
battle.
gonna look like Haruta against Sukuna.
Honestly, I should have put Haruta on this list. I completely forgot about him, but
Oh yeah,
like,
he's clapping
yeah,
Haruta.
that's gonna get clapped. Haruta is gonna be just like Hikori. He's gonna follow Chihiro around against his will. She's gonna be like, bro, fuck
But
off.
let's say Kusakabe has he thinks Kusakabe has an enchanted blade. How do you think he's doing against Kusakabe, a regular Kusakabe?
Up against the Kusakabe. I mean, I think you
Simple
know what. Funnily enough, I
domain.
think I think Chihiro would win. I think Chihiro would win.
Oh, okay.
I think the speed. I think the speed difference, and like also like being able to keep up with like kind of Jogo's output, like maybe a little bit lower than Jogo's output. I think he can handle Kusakabe. Believe it or not, the simple domain.
That's a good fight.
Dude, it would be a good fight. The simple domain expansion, like a little bit that Kusakabe can do, would be tough. But I think again, like with Nishiki Cloak and Chihiro's speed advantage, I think he's got it.
'Cause
He's got it in the
he
bag.
blocked. He instantly, auto blocked one of Sukuna's like no movement releases of his dismantle. Like that was pretty crazy. That he even was able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he does get a buff from his simple domain. He could basically eliminate all the fish. The fish wouldn't be an
Bro ain't
issue.
doing nothing against the white EI
But
purity style. He's gonna get fucking one
ooh.
tapped. Boom. He can't keep up with that speed. Ain't no way.
Oh, Kusa, not my goat.
Yo, it is funny how like the narrative of Kusakabe has shifted. I used to fucking clown on Kusakabe so much, and then that one
He
moment
wasn't
with
worth the
Sukuna,
volume.
yeah, it's
He
just
made up for it.
he did make up for it big time. He really did. He really did.
We
Um,
blamed him for 235. Gojo won. Okay, buddy. You know what? You're on thin ice. But then he balled out against Sukuna, and we're like, all right, you know what?
we
He's
forgive
all
you.
right.
We forgive you.
Yeah. The memes were hilarious, though. Like the strongest sorcerer around.
Oh my god! Versus the strongest sorcerer available.
Yeah, that's what it was. It
um,
was good.
Tiberius, thank you so much for popping on. Do you have anything you want to say about Chihiro or his performance, or anything you want to close out with? We're coming up at 2.5 hours here. Crazy stream.
Uh, yeah, I know. I appreciate the invite. It's always fun. I actually started a Kagurabachi podcast that drops a podcast episode every
Oh
week.
shit!
Just talking about the new chapter. It's with my boy Dice. He does some JJK content, and like I mean, we usually upload the videos a day after the new chapter. This week we actually had the episode uploaded on Sunday.
Oh
And we
shit!
just talk about theories. It's called the Hishaku Hideout. Check it out.
Yeah, let me check that out.
It's
The Hashaku. Is it like a
just
dedicated channel?
yeah. It's just
Oh, I see it.
just
Okay, I just got it pulled up. The Hashaku Hideout. Everyone, go check this out. Go subscribe. Go show love.
it's a laid back chill thing. We just got started, so we're still like trying to get comfortable with like that long form, free flowing. But last episode that we just uploaded this week, I think is really good. I think it has a good insight for everybody, all the Kagurabachi fans, and check it out. Maybe if you like it, cool. Hit the subscribe. If not, that's cool too.
Hell yeah. Here's link in the chat. And thank you, Loud, for the buzzer beater 5 gifted. Appreciate
That's
that.
a goat right
Love.
there.
That is a goat right there. Indeed, indeed. Love that. Guys,
And
oh, go ahead.
oh no, I was just saying, yep. I just appreciate it. Y'all be cool.
No, I appreciate you, Tiberius. I appreciate you. Thank you for popping on. You gave me like a lot to be able to bounce off on. I would have been so boring just going through this by myself. So I genuinely do appreciate you popping on. You helped a lot.
No worries, brother.
All right, guys. I'm going to call it. We're coming up on 2.5 hours. We had some good viewership today. Thank you all so much. Make sure you subscribe to the Hishaku Hideout. Make sure you subscribe if you like that Kagurabachi content. You like what you heard from. I almost called you Chihiro. You like what you heard from Tiberius.
I'm like him for real.
And you want to hear more from him, please go subscribe to the Shakuado. Go subscribe to Tiberius's main YouTube channel as well. And again, guys, if you want more Kagurabachi content from me, please check out my second channel. Link is in the chat. Link is in the description. And yeah, guys, I will see you in the next one. Everyone hit that like button if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace, peace, peace.